Hello, hello, good evening. I'm good today. I hope you are as well. Hello. Hi, hi, good evening. Welcome, welcome. Welcome back to Great Ace Attorney. Honestly, I wasn't really planning on going back to the game that quickly. Because like originally I wanted to have a bigger, like, I don't know, break in between the first and the second game. But now I'm sitting here like, you know what, fuck it. We're just gonna get back into it right the fuck now. Now that the first one is really fresh in our minds. Hello, Nuncha. Hello, good evening. The music sounds a little different for this one. So I'm interested in seeing what this one will be about. Like I said, I'm still not spoiled for the game, I think, hopefully. I mean, maybe I've seen spoilers, but I I didn't know there were spoilers, so I'm just hoping we can get through like the first episode tonight. And then we will see how late it is. Alrighty. Did we get a cutscene? Yes, that looks like a cutscene. That looks nice. Waiting for Rice to get ready right now. Ooh. Nice. Oh, that's not. Oh.
こうして目の覚めるような澄み渡った青空の下に立つと、ロンドンでのあの日々がまるで嘘のようでございます。懐かしい
I know her voice.
異国の大帝都。あの方はそれは立派な弁護士になられました。
Who is that? I know that voice.
今もきっと彼女の法廷で勇敢に戦っていると存じます。
うわ。Who is that?
ご挨拶が遅くなって本
Did she
当
come
に
too
申し
late?
訳ございません。帰国より
No,
慌ただしい日が続いたもの
That.
でございますから。それ
Do
に
you think that's her
一体
father's
誰
grave?
が想像した
No.
でしょうか。この国に戻ってからたった2ヶ月。
With another awful crime? Wait, what? You again! I cannot read the name. I don't think it's her father. I think
私は
it's
大審員の法廷に立ちます。
Kazuma.
一生にただ一度弁護士として。
Right? Please don't let her father be that. What?
どうかこのスサトに力を与えてくださいませ。 カズマ様。
Ah, see! Oh, oh my god! It's not the father! Oh, that's so pretty! The Adventure of the Blossoming Attorney. It's not the father! I think I would have cried if her father was dead. Oh my god, wait. I wanted to... Susato Miko Toba... Who's your voice actor? Without getting spoiled on the game, can I find out who... Kana Hanazawa! Yeah, of course I know that voice! Of course I know her voice. I knew it. Wow, that's a big... You know, Mayuri from Steins Gate and a bunch of other characters. Holy crap. So many characters. Chiaki Nanami from Danganronpa. So many characters. So many characters. Of course! That's... Kana Hanazawa is a household name. Oh, that's nice. Okay. Alright. Okay, her father's not dead. That's good. 13th of August, 8:26 a.m. Supreme Court of Judicature. Defendants Antechamber 3. Here I am again after 9 months. The Supreme Court of Judicature of Japan. I feel so nervous, but I must steal my nerves and find a way to compose myself. Oh, there he is. Ah, good, you're here. It doesn't do for a lawyer to be late. Oh, yes, sir. Good morning, sir. I hardly recognize you. You cut a fine figure, Counsel. But you look as white as a sheet, and those white eyes aren't doing any favors either. Oh dear. The truth is, I'm so incredibly nervous, I feel utterly nauseated. I almost wish that I'd never been born. Goodness, not the sort of thing a father hopes to hear from his daughter, I must say. Yuji Mikotoba, professor of medicine at the Imperial Yume University. A man who, early in his life, traveled to Great Britain to study the latest advances in forensic medical science. And of course, my brilliant father. Excuse me. Would I be correct in thinking that you to be my lawyer in court today? Oh, what a baby! Yes. Yes, that's right, miss. Well, I want to thank you for agreeing to represent me. I swear on my life. It's a complete fabrication, the whole thing. I trust you. I believe you. Rei Membami, born the same year as I'm my greatest friend. Though unusual for a woman in our time, she works at a university research laboratory helping my father. And sadly, she's a defendant in today's trial. Accused of committing a truly awful murder. Oh. Are you feeling alright? Since we started talking, you seem, well, to have become a little flushed. Oh, I am, it's just a... You look so gallant and dashing. Sorry. And when I fall under your intense gaze, it makes me feel rather bashful. Goodness, I don't think she knows. She hasn't realized who I am. It would seem our little plan for this trial is going to work. Oh, what do you mean, Professor Mikotoba? Oh, I think I know what they're doing. If even your best friend can see through the disguise, I think we can relax. Disguise? Yes, I've never tried dressing this way before, of course, so I wasn't sure how convincing it would be. But this does make me feel a little relieved, as you say, Father. Father? What? Is that you, Susato? I'm so sorry I didn't say something sooner, Ray. It's just that... No, what are you doing? What's going on? What? The Varsity uniform, the Varsity cap, the Varsity cape, the Varsity badge. Look at you. You look for all the world just like a student of the Imperial Yume University, a male student. I'm so glad you think so. It means all my preparations have been worthwhile. I woke at 4 this morning to make a start. But I don't understand. Why are you dressed like that? Because a woman is not allowed in court, I'm guessing. Well, you see... Well, we know a woman is not allowed in court, so we couldn't represent her for this trial. It was the only way. The only way she would be permitted into the Supreme Court to take on your defense in this trial. My defense? Never before in my life have I felt so frustrated having been born into this body. Courts in Japan are barred to women. We're not even allowed to set foot inside the courtroom. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Despite the fact that the laws of the land apply to all people, male and female alike. But women are forbidden. I was just so confused why I only hear background music while my phone played everything just fine. Turns out my headphones were slightly inflated. Well, but women are forbidden. Just for today, I'll be leaving my true self at the courtroom though, so that I can act as your lawyer. Oh, baby! Hell yeah! Susato, you go to such lengths for me. Of course, you're my greatest friend. I just worry that I shan't be the lawyer you deserve. Oh no, I have complete faith in you. Hey. It's so strange though. I mean, you're such an accomplished judicial assistant already. And yet just because you're a woman... What a wretched reason. I mean, why shouldn't you be allowed in court? You're so gallant and dashing. Ray, please don't look at me like that, with those flushed cheeks and doting eyes. I'm sorry, it's just... You really do look so dashing. Yes, you mentioned that once or twice. I love her. Can I say I like her hairstyle? Like in general, absolutely. You should be pleased, it means you look convincing as a man. I am pleased, I think. It certainly helped to bolster my confidence today. Fuck yeah. Hey, you're managing to put on a brave face and all this, but I can see through it. I've noticed how your shoulders are slumped and how you're trembling ever so slightly. Susato, you do believe me, don't you? I didn't do it. I couldn't have. I mean, murder. Of course. You have nothing to worry about. Your conscience is perfectly clean. Isn't that right? Yes. Yes, it is. Perfectly clean. I've absolutely no doubt in my mind about your innocence, which is why I'll stand by you until the bitter end in this trial. Whatever happens, I'll always be on your side. Because that's what it means to be a defense lawyer. That means so much to me, Susato. Yeah! Defendant, counsel, court is about to begin. Proceed to the courtroom at once. Okay. You should go in at once, Ray. If you're late, the judge won't hesitate to pronounce you guilty. Oh. Stand aside! I don't think I've ever seen her run so fast. I like her already. Well, Susato, you certainly surprised your father. Going to such lengths to be admitted into the courtroom and with no prior experience of being a lawyer. There was simply no other way. That's all there is to it. But father... You haven't told her, have you? I mean, I'm right in assuming that Ray doesn't know how it came to this? Yes, quite right. I've kept that information from her. It would only worry her if she found out that no other lawyer would agree to take her case. I didn't want to burden her with that. And is it true? The reason why every other lawyer is refusing to take the case? Is it really because of who the victim was? Has to be. We should be making a move now too. As you know, law is my field, but I'll do what I can to support my student. Thank you, Father. Yeah, for a second I was like, why wouldn't he just take the case? But I forget that he's not actually a lawyer. He's just a guy studying medicine and stuff. I don't know why I thought he was a lawyer. I'm Susato Mikotova, a judicial assistant. 8 months ago, I accompanied a student of law on a study trip to Great Britain, but 2 months ago, due to unforeseen circumstances, I found myself back in Japan. Well, I'm just glad her father is safe, then. How many times have I wished that he were here, I wonder. Still, I have no choice now but to steel myself for the trial ahead. Wish me luck, Naruhodo-san. You don't need luck, you have me. We're going to win. But wow, 9 months? So I wonder how Naruhodo will act when we get back to playing as him. Because he definitely has to have grown in those months. The 19th of August, 9 AM, Supreme Court of Judicature, the courtroom 1. Our best friend is back. This court is now in session to hear the trial of Rei Membami.
The prosecution is fully ready to proceed, Your Excellency.
Oh! Pretty! Defense counsel, are you ready? Yes, Your Excellency, we are ready. Ready! She does the same thing! Yes, counsel. According to your registration details, your name is, Ryotaro Naruhodo. Is that correct? Sorry. Yes, I had to come up with a suitable maiden name for you for this little venture. So I'm afraid to say simply put down the first name that sprang to mind. Well, counsel. Yes, that's right. That's me. Yes, I'm Ryotaro, he who was vowed to uphold the pride of the great Naruhodo clan. One of Naruhodo and Susato will get to stand again. I hope so. I don't, like, at least for the last case, I'm guessing we're definitely going to be together again, but I don't know how long it takes until then. It seems Ryotaro may need to consider how better to uphold his manly act first and not overdo it. And those wild, wide eyes aren't doing you any favors either. Just relax and listen. Naruhodo.
Fresh face in this courtroom, if I'm not mistaken. But the name Naruhodo, would that perchance be?
Guten Abend, wie geht's dir? We use like this, right? Close. But yeah, it is evening. I'm good, how are you? You might be thinking of Ryunosuke Naruhodo, currently in Britain as part of a study program. This is, his cousin! That's right. Ryotaro here has been studying in the provinces, but was called to the capital for this trial. I assure you, in matters of law, his knowledge rivals that of any of Tokyo's preeminent lawyers. Any of them!
What a pitiful situation. Having been rejected by every lawyer in the capital, the accusers have to call in a country boy.
How dare you! Susato is every bit as gallant and dashing as any of your Tokyo attorneys. I won't have you making fun of her. Her? Please be careful, Ray. Man is crowned just at a very funny long rally session on the sim. On the sim? What's a sim? What an unrefined tomboy we have here.
But I wonder, is your gallant and dashing lawyer up to the challenge of defending you? His white, skittish eyes very much suggest that he's not.
I'm going to... I will not give up on making his voice go meh, but I'm not going to try and make it as extreme as I did in the first game because that killed me instantly. I'm so nervous. It's like ASMR, no music, no HUD, only the night, the cars, the cold, and the rain pouring down. Ooh, that's nice. Now that I'm standing in his shoes, I'm starting to understand what Naruhodo-san goes through. Like it or not, eyes are want to flit. Sim's aberration of racing simulation. Ah. The case to be heard on this day is a matter of great significance to our national interests, again. In fact, it would be reasonable to assume that the outcome of this trial may well affect the very future of our empire. It's a game meant to be as close to reality as possible. Ooh.
Just like the trial 9 months ago. And yet for proceedings of such importance, we have this unknown jackal by the dock. Dear me.
Last case with Susato, Iris, Hollock, and Mikatoba says, oh, that's a lot of people on the bench. I don't think you're allowed to have that many people on the bench. Perhaps this would be an appropriate moment for me to assess the defense. To determine whether you're sufficiently competent to practice in this courtroom. Okay, sure. 9 months ago, when a certain other Naruhodo stood where you're standing now. The same judge tested him as well. That he did. And even though he's just a student at the time, not even of law, he passed the test with flying colors. Yeah, he won the case. For a trained and experienced judicial assistant like you, this will be easy. So, Council, do you consent to answering some simple questions? Just yes. Alright, it's time to prove myself. She does this well. Yes, Your Excellency, but please do make them simple. Very well, to start with, you will state the name of the victim. Here, that is simple. I couldn't forget it if I tried. I mean, yeah, technically, because this game was originally on its own, when it first came out, they do give you an entire tutorial thing again, I guess. Ah, what's the matter? Now that I'm standing in his shoes, I'm starting to understand something else now that Huro-san goes through. Like it or not, minds are want to blank. It's not surprising, really. It's your first time in this position and in our guise. Even a bright spark like you is bound to flicker and falter a little under the circumstances. Oh dear, this is a dismal failure. Don't fret, you need only use the knowledge you've gained as a judicial assistant to overcome the problem. Of course, the court record. Yes, the answer will be amongst all the key information about the case in the court record. That's right, just use E to open the court record. Then you need to flip to the people section with E. And don't take too long over it, His Excellency is watching you closely. I will take as long as I fucking want to. Alright, check the court record with E, that's where the information I need will be. It's an interesting way to make it easy again, absolutely. Imagine a night, angry turbo screaming horsepower. Postmortem report. Time of death just after 2 p.m. Death is believed to be due to trauma to the victim's lung from a knife blade. Only a single wound was identified. Victim, Giselle Brad, female British. Time of death, 11th of August. That's my birthday! That's my birthday! Assumed by examination and witness statements. Single deep step wound from behind, piercing a lung resulting in a fatal hemorrhage. That would have occurred within minutes. Extreme meiosis pupil constriction was observed in the victim in both eyes. British, yeah. It's the same woman that was the murderer in the first game, in the first case. And now she's dead. I don't feel sorry for her though. Co-driver just machine gunning directional. 3 lava, don't cut it. Bull. I don't know what all that means, but sure. Sorry, I'm just snacking. I'm waiting, Counsel. What is the name of the victim in this case? Yeah, we can name our father. We're not going to do that. Giselle Brad. Hi. The name of the victim who lost her life in this case is Miss Giselle Brad. Giselle Brad. A name that will never be forgotten in the courtrooms of our country, I'm sure. Pay attention now, Noah. Who is a good cutie pie here? Me. Correct. And being a member of our Empire's judiciary, you will be well aware of the significance of that name. I am. Good, Noah. You eat another day. So let me pose another simple question. As you know, Miss Brad was a visiting student from the Empire of Great Britain. Why then is her name what? Indelibly associated with our own Empire's judicial history. Not that game now, Giselle Brad can't be part of a Tory crime scene anymore. Damn! Obviously, you won't have forgotten that case from 9 months ago. But if it's proving hard to recall the finer points, everything you need is included in the court record. Obviously, I still remember. That was the start of everything. Giselle Brad. Behind the woman student persona was the face of Queen Victoria herself! A killer! 9 months ago, a visiting professor of medicine at the Imperial Human University was killed, and the culprit was Giselle Brad. Yes, she was a killer. the time, our country had just signed a new treaty with the Empire of Great Britain, and it was in the midst of this delicate diplomatic situation that the incident occurred. An Englishman, Dr. John H. Wilson, was shot dead. I believe he was an associate of yours, Professor Mikotoba. You're getting some art of one of your OCs? Oh, that's nice. I love getting art. I love commissioning people to draw characters of mine. Yes, I was indebted to the man. He'd been my mentor when I went to London to study forensic medicine. Indeed, it was I who invited him here to Japan as a visiting professor at the university. Naturally, the murder of an Englishman on our soil was a matter the government wished to resolve rapidly. Indeed it was, which is why a secret trial was conducted here at the Supreme Court. A student of the Imperial Yume University was arrested on suspicion of murder. A second-year English language student by the name of Ryunosuke Naruhodo. Wait, he was an English language student? Oh. I honestly didn't know that. I know he was studying at a university, but I didn't know he was studying English language. I guess that explains why he actually does talk good English. Like, in-game, story-wise. With the help of his best friend, the student lawyer, the accused conducted his own defense. And is exposed to the despicable crime committed by Miss Giselle Brad. I still don't know what funny thing they want to make with her name. Because Ace Attorney names are always some kind of jokes, yeah? But I cannot tell what Giselle Brad... Giselle? I mean, maybe I'm pronouncing it wrong, so I'm not seeing where it's supposedly funny, but... Does he though? Did he have a voice like... No, I mean like... Normally you wouldn't be able to just send some guy who's not even a lawyer yet on a voyage to England and expect him to actually be able to talk. But if he was an English language student, I'm assuming his English is quite good, right? No. Giselle Brad. I don't know. However, I'm questioned about the motive that drove her to take Dr. Wilson's life. She gave no satisfactory answer before the trial reached its conclusion. Immediately after the trial, the British government brought its consular jurisdiction into play. We were unable to sentence Miss Brad according to our empire's laws. It was decided that she would be moved to Shanghai, China instead. Why Shanghai? There's a British consular court there. Oh, okay. Correct, I oversaw the negotiations personally. The date of her transfer to Shanghai was finally settled upon only last week. All that remained of our empire's obligations was to see the woman safely on board a steamship. Wait, it took you guys 9 months to get her to Shanghai? Or to settle upon a date to get her to Shanghai? And she was free to, I don't know, do what she wanted? Even though we know she was she's dead now, a murderer? What? And yet, the very day before her departure, the English woman was killed. None of them just going through the trials like the foreign guy from the jury. Only the day before. That will do. I'm satisfied that the counsel for the defense is sufficiently capable of representing the defendant. Oh! Thank you, Your Excellency. Over the first hurdle. Now, a summary of the incident, if you please. Prosecutor Auchi. We like being smooth. That's what everyone says who's like, I had to shave my legs because of a bat, and then they shaved their legs and it's like, oh, they're smooth.
As is your wish, Your Excellency. The repugnant crime took place on the 11th of August, that's my birthday, in broad daylight. Whoa. On the outskirts of the imperial capital, in the bright blue sky, at a secluded bathing spot by the sea. The incident occurred inside a small beach hut erected for bathers to rest or change their clothes. Ho ho! The cause of death was a single stab wound to the posterior abdomen that pierced the victim's lung, an injury which proved fatal. There were 2 persons alone together in the beach hut at the time of the victim's death. Miss Brad, in her bathing attire, and the accused, Ray Membami. Accordingly, there can be no doubt of the accused's guilt, especially when considered she had a powerful motive. The police arrived rapidly at the scene and promptly arrested a young lady.
No, serious, I have to shave my legs. Time to a second leg to my friend. Damn! That hurts. Okay. Well, that extraordinary description of events leaves me somewhat lost for words, I must say. That's certainly true. The prosecution summary was full of words that raise an awful lot of questions. As a lawyer, I really ought to pick up the prosecution counsel on what he said about the bathing. All of them? If I may, Prosecutor Uchi.
What do you want, you fresh-faced young yokel student?
I wonder, could you explain, please? You mentioned a bathing spot?
My apologies. Clearly my modernity has confused the poor country bumpkin's simple mind. Bathing spots are the very latest trend in health practices from the West. We are told that bathing in the water of the ocean is curative, therapeutic, and excellent for the skins.
No, that's not what I meant. I was referring to the fact that Miss Brad had, to all intents and purposes, been found guilty of murder. Why would a non-criminal have been relaxing by the sea? That's what I'm saying.
Full-time sake, I believe.
Sorry.
Miss Brad was to depart for Shanghai the following day. Her final wish, as it were, was to enjoy a day at our country's wonderful coast. And the British Embassy put extreme pressure on our government to comply.
Because being a non-criminal is a stressful life. But on what grounds will we agree to such a request? Because, as usual, our government is unable to stand up to foreign powers. In matters of diplomacy, it seems we don't even have the courage to decline the whims of a non-criminal.
Don't look at me, Professor. It was the government who granted permission, not I. In any case, it was decided that with a dedicated detective on duty, nothing could go wrong.
But in fact, a murder took place.
I said don't look at me. It was a young student girl who did it, not I.
No one has proved that yet. I won't provoke the man if you don't need to. At this stage, I need to gather more information, I think.
So I really ought to pick up the prosecution counsel on what he said about being alone together.
Membami-san.
Yes, what is it?
Naruhodo-san. I'm really starting to wish we'd made my alias Irutaru Susato. Please tell the court why exactly you were present at the bathing spot with the victim in the first place. And why you were alone with her.
Oh, well, no, that's not true. It wasn't like that at all.
There were other people present, a detective who was guarding Miss Brad for starters. I was just asked to accompany Miss Brad as a companion, that's all.
But let us be clear. At the moment of her death, you were alone together with the victim in the hut. You and no one else.
Oh well, you see, we haven't been... Gay people.
The truth is, there's only one reason why this young woman accompanied Miss Brad on a bathing sojourn, because she's a woman. It was the accused's last chance to take the victim's life. That's not what I said.
No.
Because, as we know, the following day would see Miss Brad extradited to the British authorities in Shanghai.
Why is your voice so annoying, dude? I'm just... And the accused would never have an opportunity to dispatch her again. Why would she even kill her in the first place?
Ooh, voice for 2 minutes, okay. Kindly refrain from conjecture, counsel. Execution Council seems to enjoy using provocative strikes like that. But for now, at least, we need to assemble more facts. Try not to let him goad you. Oh dear, this is really terrifying. But Father's right, we need more information. I really want to know what he's saying about a powerful motive. What kind of motive would she have? You're clearly exaggerating. Powerful motive is a bland and overstatement. Is the Yaku boy using long words he doesn't fully understand? I beg your pardon. No matter, let us put this to the accused, shall we? Mamami-san, you are a research assistant at the Imperial Yume University, I believe. The Yume University. Yes, I am. I'm working with Professor Mikotobe in his laboratory at the moment. I can confirm that. The defendant is an excellent assistant with a strong sense of responsibility. Fascinating to hear. Now, another question. Prior to your work with Professor Mikotobe, whose research were you assisting there? Oh, well, I was studying under Dr. John H. Wilson. Dr. Wilson? The visiting English professor who was murdered by Miss Pratt 9 months ago. Ah, I see. That's the motive. That's the motive. The accused had a deep-seated respect for former mentor Dr. Wilson. Is that not true? Yes, Dr. Wilson was a wonderful man. Interesting. Then tell the court what deep-seated feelings you had towards the English woman who killed him. Well, obviously I was filled with hatred for what she'd done, a powerful hatred. Oh no, Ray, be careful what you're saying. The motive was revenge. Plain and simple, Your Excellency. Isn't that a little too obvious? Also, like, just because you don't like someone doesn't mean that you would try to murder them. I believe we all have a clear picture of the incident now. Despite her guilt being determined 9 months ago, Miss Pratt managed to avoid incarceration, instead continuing her research work at the university. Obviously, over the period, she and Ray would have encountered each other on a number of occasions. One good thing about this case is that everyone's Japanese. No blaming the Japanese for being Japanese this time. Hell yeah! No casual racism. Maybe. Maybe. I don't believe it. Until we finish it. Seeing the murder of the mentor for whom she had such great respect, enjoying such undeserved liberty. Yes, even if it was only temporary until Miss Pratt's extradition to Shanghai, you can hardly blame Ray for her feelings of anger and resentment. Poor Ray. So, Your Excellency, if you'd be so kind as to peruse this exhibit. A photographic print that shows the scene of the crime immediately following the grim incident. Woo! Yes, thank you, Consul. A tragic image. As you can clearly see, there's no war within the heart that anyone else could have hidden. That's not true. The court will accept this photographic print as evidence. Also, like... she killed the guy with poison that the Japanese could not yet trace. Who's to say that she wasn't killed with the poison if they still can't trace it? Or maybe it's a different kind of poison that they can't trace? Who's to say that, you know, getting her lung punctured was what actually killed her? The court will accept this photographic print as evidence. Photographic print of the scene taken by police just after the incident occurred. The stab wound in the victim's back is clearly visible. I mean, right now it looks like she was stabbed, yes, but who knows? Who knows? I don't believe it until I see it. As I understand it then, the victim and the defendant were alone inside the beach hut at the time. This is deeply troubling, I must say. The finger of guilt points firmly at the defendant. Well, Your Excellency, naturally the prosecution has much more to its case. We intend to prove the accuser's appalling actions beyond all possible contention. To that end, I can confirm that we have multiple witnesses to the crime and damning evidence. Witnesses? But who? One of whom, I might add, is a highly respected police detective. Oh,
Oh, I feel like I know who we're going to see. I assure you, the testimony of these witnesses will leave no room for doubt. We'll see about that. We will then, counsel, bring forth your witnesses. I, Takatsuchi Aochi, have been waiting for this moment. Sorry? Oh yes, I haven't forgotten that trial 9 months ago. Here in this very courthouse. When that irreverent little student boy utterly humiliated me. Oh right, his hair, that's why his hair looks like that, I guess. What? Yes? This insult to the Yoichi family name will never be forgotten. When technology isn't advanced enough, I believe it was something we haven't discovered yet. Magic! Yeah! You've become conceited with age, counsel. But the old have to stand aside and make way for the new. It's the way of the world. May you never forget that. I was wondering because something looked different about him, and I was like, wait, what is different? Strike the head of a samurai whose top knot has been cut, and the bell of cultural enlightenment tolls. Yes, on that fateful day, my former self died. The start of your own mini Meiji revolution. Are you modernizing as well, counsel? Silence! Since I saw revenge back then, there's been a minor miracle atop my head. Observe the Ochi growth. You see the seed of hope sprouting forth from the barren expanse of my crown. I think that tiny growth is trying to tell me something. I'm afraid I can't really see. Where's the hope exactly? I said silence! Today I face another Yoko student of the Naruhodo clan. Well, I will vanquish you. As if you couldn't fix his hair in 9 months. Nope. And my victory will be fertilizer for the seed of hope atop my head. You have been warned. At that, the prosecution calls the witnesses to the stand. It looks like the stakes are high on both sides in this trial. The prosecution and defense each has much to lose. A haircut is hardly comparable to Rei's life. That is very true. Good evening, Guardian! How old are you today? We're good! Oh, it's 2 people we know. Holy hell! Witnesses, please state your names and occupations for the court. Chief Inspector Satoru Osanaga, Imperial Police Bureau. I'm in disguise, obviously, so I can go undetected. And I am, well, the next big thing in books. An author renowned through the capital. In fact, yes. Soon to be sold out. The satirical I Am a Cat, a sensational success by Soseki Natsume. Oh my goodness. Struggling student from the provinces, please. You needn't be in awe of me. I needn't. He didn't get murdered by the Reaper. Yet. It's only natural that you'd feel nervous in my presence, but all of you, please relax. Call me Soseki even. Yes. What on earth is Soseki-san doing here? Tread carefully, Susato. That author fellow knows you from your time in London, doesn't he? If he exposes you for who you really are, this will be all over before it's begun. Yes, of course, I know. I presume Soseki-san won't have forgotten about me. I could certainly never forget him. Although he does seem to have changed somewhat in the 6 months or so that it's been since I last saw him. And as for Inspector Hosonaga, that amazing outfit is hard to believe. Do I have something on my face? Well, your glasses for one. Although they don't seem to be helping you see! Thank goodness he hasn't recognized me either. I suppose this is disguise, is it? I thought that appearing here in the clothes I was wearing at the time would make for more faithful testimony. It's my guiding principle to carry out all testimonies flawlessly. He's a good dude. I like him very much. Well, I can appreciate why an Imperial Police Bureau detective might have been present, but what business did a writer such as yourself have being at the scene, Soseki-san? Well, you see, I had been asked today to give a lecture on the morning of the incident in the Imperial Yume University's Grand Lecture Hall, no less. At Yume University? After the lecture, I had a very pleasant conversation with the researcher from the medical science department. The professor over there, in fact. With Professor Mikotoba. Yes, that's right. It was arranged by one of the newspapers. They wanted some story or other about 2 former students who study in Great Britain. Of course, being a renowned author, the press never leave me alone. They secretly spy, snapshots, scribble stories, and scupper my privacy. As you can see, the conversation was written up in this newspaper here. Read at your leisure. My provincial struggling student friend, I have plenty of copies. Thank you very much. He practically threw that paper at me. What? A newspaper containing an article about the discussion between my father and Suzuki-san. The debate became quite spirited. Wait, can I look at that? Let me see. Oh! The cat! Look at the cat! Oh, that's nice. That's nice. Oh. Okay. Cool. Cool, lots of things. Ah! Hi, welcome! Thank you so much for the raid! Hello! Welcome, welcome! Good evening! How are you? Let me give you a shout out! Ooh, you were playing And the Lilies! Nice! Okay, wait, it's a raid, so... It's a raid, so you get a Pikachu. Pikachu! Pika Pika! Pikachu! It's great, you love it? Oh, that's nice. When I first saw the game pop up on the eShop, I was like, damn, that looks interesting, and I wishlisted it, but I didn't get around to actually checking out more of it. Oh, that's cool. I'm glad you enjoy it. I want to play it sometime. Are you considering adding redeems? Redeems in what sense? Anyway, following my interview with the professor, the lady in question appeared and made a very unexpected announcement. You've had it since February and are you just now getting to it? Oh, big mood. Big mood. Highly recommended. Channel Pond redeems new ones. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. If I can, figure out how to make it so if you, redeem something, I can make something funny show up here on the stream. Like, I want the pad to show up on the stream. I want the hydrate time to show up on the stream, but it's a struggle. It's a struggle I don't know how to do. I should like to go with everyone to see a country's coast. Those were her words. And I'm not asking this because I want a yandere nu. Oh, a yandere nu. What's that like? As I explained before, Miss Brad was never taken into custody. She continued to work in my laboratory under strict surveillance, of course. At which utterance, the university immediately contacted the government to seek guidance. And the response was, permit Miss Brad to go as long as a detective accompanies her. That detective, I'm at liberty to divulge, was me, Chief Inspector Satoru Hosonaga. Thereby, the entire party departed cordially for the seaside, it seems. It was extremely challenging to clear all other members of the public from the vicinity of the beach. Yeah, I can imagine. But fortunately, I'm at a peak physical fitness at the moment, so... I was able to carry out my duty flawlessly. Why, you bleeding? Hey, do you take me for a fool? You think I wouldn't see you watching our streamers? Were you watching at the streamers, huh? Is that what you're saying? You're watching at the streamers? Huh? How dare you? Inspector, you... Well, you do have something on your face now. Only knew. Unsightly, I do apologize. Does that mean that you went to the beach too, Father? No. Fortunately, I had work to finish off. But unfortunately, of course, it meant that, as my assistant, Ray was invited to take my place. Oh, of course. course, being a renowned author, I didn't like to decline the invitation. Ah, but only if I had, I'd never have seen an awful sight. Relentlessly, wrecked by remorse and regret. And Larry, made a fool of myself to her today. I'm still so. Oh. Very well. I must now ask you to present your formal testimony to the court. I love Larry. Larry's birthday is coming up soonish. I hope I can catch the stream. You will give an account of all that you witnessed on your impromptu excursion to the coast. Okay. Let's do it. Of course, Your Excellency. Relentlessly wrecked by remorse and regret, I am. You're medicated or what? The witness scene. On the day of the incident, I was ordered on a special surveillance assignment in this disguise. Okay. I just managed to catch that crab when I suddenly heard a caterwaul from behind me. On the thing that should not be named on this. Okay. I ran into the beach hut at once, where I found the pair in question. Yes, 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 the young girl was astride the Englishwoman, dagger in hand, as she stepped wildly. That doesn't make sense. She died to a single stab wound. I saw blood on the blade. It proved to me that she stabbed the victim multiple times. That doesn't make sense! She was stabbed only once! Indeed, it does appear from this testimony that both witnesses here present saw it. The very moment of this heinous crime. What? Now, you will recall I promised evidence as well. What phrase did I use again? Ah yes, that was it. Damning evidence. What have you there, Counsel? A so-called fountain pen, is it? Correct, Your Excellency. I found it at the scene whilst examining the body. It appears that in her dying moments, with her final ounce of strength, the victim clutched a piece of evidence that would positively identify her killer. What? Your Excellency, if you would cast your eyes over the photographic print of the crime scene once more. Oh yeah, there's a... Oh, goodness me. Yes, the victim is clearly grasping something quite deliberately here in her hand. That's right, the fountain pen. And if you would kindly examine the pen, Your Excellency. Ah, the owner's initials have been engraved into the ebonite barrel. RM. BTS! Yo, you guys know BTS? Yes, I think I am incredibly funny. I am positively funny. Ah, Raymond Bami. The initials of the defendant. Ah, no! Oh! Interesting. She gets the same animations as Ryunosuke did. This fountain pen will be admitted immediately as critical evidence. The pen that the victim was found grasping in her hand, it carries the initials RM. So, have I omitted anything? Decisive testimony and damning evidence. There's a bright blue sky outside the courthouse today. Perfect weather to ascribe guilt, I feel. I don't understand. The prosecutor out here of 9 months ago had none of this man's poise. Oh, don't worry, we're going to get the poise off of him. Counsel for the defense, you may begin your cross-examination now. Naruhodo-san. Naruhodo. That means... Oh, yes, me. Is there not a Naruhodo in my courtroom? Actually, there isn't even a single Naruhodo in your courtroom. I love her inner monologue. Cousin Ryotaro, pull yourself together, please. Alright, I've seen this countless times as a judicial assistant. Find inconsistencies in a witness's testimony to prove that they're lying somehow. That's all there is to it. That's how a real lawyer would handle a cross-examination. So let's see what I can do. You can do it!
You can do it!
Because I already know what I'm going to start with. 1, 2, 3, 4, where is it? Multiple times. That cannot be true. Because it says right here that she was stepped only once.
Idiani!
Woo! With that accusatory cry that just swelled up from deep inside me, I think I finally understand. Every time Kazuma-sama and Naruhodo-san have stood here at this bench, the stakes have been very, very high indeed. Tori stuff is even weirder since these games really feel like there should be one big one, but then I remember they were released a couple of years apart originally. Yeah, exactly. But it's like, obviously, we're playing them one after the other because they're now combined into one thing, but originally there was some time in between them. Do you wish to be Brad? No, I don't want to be Brad. What's the meaning of the menacing post, Council? I'd like the witness to clarify something for me. Who? What? Where? When? How? Not you, Suzuki-san. This query is directed at Inspector Hosonaga. At me? In your statement just now, you said that the victim was stabbed multiple times. Yes, that's right. As I said, when I entered the hut, the defendant was already standing over the victim, bloody knife in hand, like a murderous demon. And yet, that cannot be. What? Get to the point, please, Counsel. Ah! In a post-mortem report, it clearly states that the victim was stabbed one time only. He says. In other words, Inspector Hosanaga's testimony is clearly flawed. And so, Sigi-san, me, you claim to have seen Membami-san in the throes of stabbing the victim. Yes, I did. Wildly. But both you and the inspector confirmed the same point, that there was already blood on the knife that you saw the defendant holding. Yes, and? It's quite simple. We know the murder weapon was used to stab the victim only once, therefore, there's no way there could have been blood on the knife if that single stabbing hadn't already occurred. She took the knife out! True. Then what exactly is your contention, Counsel? Are you ever going to tell us? Yes, Your Excellency. There's only one logical conclusion. What Soseki-san in fact saw was not the moment that the defendant stabbed the victim at all, but the moment that the defendant in fact withdrew the blade from the victim's body. That can't be! He's so fucking small! Excellent work, Susato. You exploded them with that objection and then proceeded to pull them apart systematically. Hello!
Baby!
Oh, I think he's upset that I called him baby. Oh, he's leaving. he was like this close to my hand, and then he left because like, I said baby in that exact same moment. I don't think he appreciates being called a baby. Damn. Dog. No, cat actually. Cat. Well, this takes me back. Yes, I seem to remember your cousin staged a scene much like this in our trial 9 months ago. A half-witted child with a half-baked objection attempting to steal the show. You're right, there were certain similarities. Except that so-called half-witted child managed to outwit the prosecution, who has only half a head of hair. Slender! My head is quite adequately dressed! In any case, all this talk of stabbing and rethrowing and multiple wounds, it makes not a jot of difference. But why not? Engage your brain, young man. When the accused first plunged the deadly weapon into the victim, that was the fatal blow. And it was that moment, just as she had withdrawn the blade ready for her next strike, that the witnesses saw. The knife was already tainted with blood because the accused had already stabbed the victim. All you have successfully shown with your little display is that the moustache, although, is prone to moments of extravagance. Ouch. I'm in agreement with the prosecution. If the defendant was seen wielding the blade at all, that is sufficient grounds for actions to be viewed with suspicion. But if she was withdrawing the blade, then we are back where we started. Sorry. Consider this, young yokel boy. If the student girl is innocent as you claim, then why would she have pulled the blade from the victim? And with the demon's cold-blooded composure too. She's a student of medicine. She's a student of medicine, and she pulls a knife from the back of someone who has obviously been stabbed. She was probably trying to save her life, no? The prosecution demands an explanation, and it had better be good. Why did Ray pull out the knife? Yes, going for the jugular. Jugular? What does father mean by that? Let the court hear your answer, then counsel. The truth is, I don't really know. But I have to come up with a plausible reason here, or we don't have a case. The reason why the defendant pulled the knife blade out of the victim's body was surely so she could stab her again, save her life, or hide the knife. Save her life. No? Though, it's always like, oh no, do not take out the knife or whatever you were stabbed with, because right now when the thing is in the wound, it is closed off, and if you pull it out, you open the wound again, and there's no stopping the blood from gushing forth. So according to the post-mortem report, the victim's death was not instant. That's correct. It's thought she would have remained conscious for a short while after sustaining the injury. Thank you for the hydrate time. Indeed, giving her time to take hold of this piece of evidence that clearly indicates her killer. The point is, being a medical research assistant, Mamami-san was compelled to act when faced with the wounded victim. And thank you for the posture check. Instinctively, she pulled the blade out in an attempt to save Muspratt's life. No? You guys don't like that? Did you hear that, Your Excellency? It would seem this is the best we can expect of this young yokel. Indeed. Is it just me, or does it suddenly feel much colder in here? Your Excellency, if I may? Speak, witness. I would like another opportunity to testify, in respect to the slipshod assertion just put forward by the yokel defense counsel, I mean. Slipshod? An excellent idea, Inspector. Our young yokel hopeful has a modicum of knowledge when it comes to the law, it seems. But in matter of medicine, he appears to possess not one iota of common sense. Very well, Inspector, I will permit your request. You will testify again before the court on the subject of the defense counsel's assertion. Yes, sir. I will do so flawlessly. Sure. No, wait, don't do it flawlessly. I need to pick it apart. Don't do it flawlessly! Forensic medicine primer. Pulling a blade from a wound without thinking could cause heavy bleeding. That's basic knowledge that any medical research assistant with an ounce of sense ought to know. In other words, there's no good reason why the defendant would have tried to pull the knife from the victim. Let's not forget that the young student did have a motive for killing the victim. The man the victim murdered 9 months ago, Dr. Wilson, was the defendant's highly respected mentor. Is what you just said true, Inspector? Could pulling a knife from a wound really cause a wound to bleed heavily? Yes, think of the weapon itself as a stop and a wound that prevents excessive blood loss. Wow! Okay. Well, that's what I said as well. Until a doctor is ready to provide proper treatment, that stopper shouldn't be removed. Oh, I see. This is why yokels should stay on the farm. Even a quack from some obscure mountain village would have such basic knowledge. Anyone who's ever given someone a little poke with a knife and pulled it out again knows it. Oh, well, I've never stabbed anyone, you see. Or pulled a blade out of a wound, so... Of course you haven't. I didn't bring you up to behave like a bandit. Father, is it true what they're telling me? Yes, it's basic remedial knowledge of our medics. Ray would have been well aware of it. If she were to claim ignorance of such fundamentals, that would prove fatal in many ways. But then, why would Ray have done it? Could she have pulled out a knife in full knowledge that it would be fatal for Miss Bride? I don't know. Ray never once mentioned anything about a knife to me. It seems almost impossible to believe, but... could my friend actually have... Susato. Yes! Pull yourself together. We mustn't lose sight of why we're here. Counsel, it's time for your cross-examination. Oh, yes, Your Excellency. However, I must warn you that if your cross-examination fails to identify any issue with the established facts, I will be moving to my education immediately afterwards. Damn. I understand. Believe in your clients and fighting for their cause until the bitter end. I knew it would be hard, but I had no idea it would be this hard. It's okay, you can do it. Ooh, nice cut in. Okay. Putting away from without thinking would really have you bleeding. It's basic knowledge. There's no good reason why you defend it. Okay. This is hopeless. I can't find a single crack in his testimony anywhere. If Ray knew that withdrawing the knife from the wound would threaten Miss Bride's life further, I just can't think of any way to explain why she did it. Susato, it's at times like these when it's especially important to remember the fundamentals. The fundamentals? Evidence of what counts in a courtroom, isn't it? Of course, but I've been through the court record dozens of times already. I think perhaps you're forgetting something, though. You'd need to take the evidence at face value. You can and must examine it in greater detail, too. Ah, I realize this is your first time playing the role of lawyer in the courtroom. So if you need reminding of the rudiments, you need only ask. I'll do my very best to help. Examine the evidence in the court record. It's an idea, certainly. What should I do? I know what to do. It's okay. Come to think of it, Kazuma-sama and Nandoro-sama were always turning evidence over and over in their hands. Yes, I need to examine things in greater detail with space. Ah, but the look in your eyes, I see it's coming back to you. Go through the court record again and have a thorough look at everything. You may just find a clue.
Yes, I'll do it straight away. I will do that.
Okay. What's all this? This is a newspaper from Suzuki-san. There seems to be an important article on the back page as well. Exclusive! Deadly poison stolen from Yumei Medical Research Laboratory! Woo! Hoo-hoo-hoo-hoo! From Yumei's Medical Research. Father, isn't that your lab? What the? Let me see that. The poison's been stolen. It's this morning's paper that Suzuki-san gave us. Are you saying you didn't know? As embarrassing as that is for the head of the laboratory, I didn't. I've not heard any such thing. Where on earth could the reporter have gleaned his information? Come to think of it, there was no article mentioning the story in our paper this morning, was there? It's a highly toxic poison we've been working on in the strictest confidence. I put Ray in charge of the project. Hey, she was managing it? If what's written here is true, it means that she tried to hide the theft from me. And moreover, the details were leaked somehow. I don't believe it. We need to read this article very carefully. Ah, an article about poison that was stolen from a laboratory at Yumei University. Even my father, who is responsible for the lab, knew nothing of the incident. Now that's a little weird, isn't it? Can I look at the pen in more detail? Can I open it? If we take off the pen's lid... Ah! Nothing appears obviously out of the ordinary here, does it? That's the initials? The RM initials are very clearly engraved here. And the fact that Miss Bride was clinging to this pen in her dying moments is very clearly a message too. To identify a killer, you mean? I don't think there can be any doubt that this is a key piece of evidence in this case. Pulling a blade, that's basic knowledge. In other words, there's no good reason why the defender would have tried to pull the knife from the victim. Maybe she stole it. No, there's one possibility, one very good reason why the defender might have decided to withdraw the knife from the victim's wound. What? The yokel not only has a poor grasp of the law, but it is also a poor loser. I'm going to make you eat all of that. Tell us then, what possibility do you think you've identified? It's here, in this newspaper article. An article about a deadly poison having been stolen from a laboratory at the Imperial Human University. The victim perished from a stab wound. Poison has no relevance in this case. But... Prosecutor Aochi, you will let the defense speak. But a newspaper article. The court cannot rely on the kind of hearsay those wretched publications carry. Counsel for the defense. I'm going to need some tangible basis for your claim. You will indicate to the court precisely what part of the newspaper article mentioned affirms your assertion. Your Excellency! Yes, of course. Thank you. Ray would never have done something to further endanger Miss Pratt's life without just cause. The reason why the defendant pulled the knife from the victim's body is explained in the article where it says poison stolen from laboratory, deadly in tiny quantities. Why is the poison being developed? Deadly in tiny quantities. The article reveals the following property about the poison in question. When a toxin enters the body in a knife laced with the poison, it's rapidly absorbed and causes death in minutes. Are you suggesting? If the knife used to attack Miss Brett was laced with this very poison, it would explain why the defendant, Membami-san, would have withdrawn the blade as soon as possible. Yes, the truth is, it was an attempt to stop the poison from entering the victim's body. Oh. This is complete and utter nonsense. Not at all. The defender withdrew the knife blade from the victim's body not to accelerate the woman's demise, but to save her life, and the prosecution cannot deny the possibility. Have you not read the post-mortem report? The cause of death was hemorrhage. The wood poison appears nowhere in the document. Well, that's because by acting quickly to remove the blade, the defendant prevented the poison from taking hold. Oh please, this is clearly desperation, the weasel's last breaking of wind. Poison has nothing whatsoever to do with this case, as I believe the defense is well aware. We have not proved that the information in this wretched newspaper article is at all reliable anyway. In that situation, what the student should have done is wait for medical assistance to arrive. But instead, you claim she suspected poisoning and took the potentially lethal decision to remove the blade. She must have had a strong reason for suspicious then, or the argument makes no sense. Exactly, well put, Inspector. On what grounds did she do it, Yoko? Why did Ray suspect that stolen poison was involved? If you want grounds, I'll give you grounds. What? You can't possibly... I can. From your expression, Counsel, it would appear those are not empty words. But naturally, as you stand in this courtroom as a lawyer, you must be aware. The words alone, empty or not, are of no value in our modern justice systems. One system only. The court demands evidence. Yes, Your Excellency. I'm well aware of that. I've seen it many times, from my place at his side in the Old Bailey. In that case, Counsel, you represent the proof to the court now. What evidence demonstrates a clear link between this case and a poison in the newspaper article? Because of their eyes? No? Maybe? I would ask the court to refer to the notes section of the post-mortem report, which reads, extreme meiosis, pupil constriction was observed in the victim. Ah. Clearly, being a yoko with no knowledge of forensic science, I have no idea, so please do tell me. Presumably, the fact that this condition of the victim was noted in a post-mortem report means that it's an unusual symptom of death? Well, under normal circumstances, the pupils dilate when someone dies. If there was extreme constriction instead, that's most certainly unusual, yes. What are you doing, you yokel detective? In a newspaper article, there's the following information about the stolen poison. Onset of symptoms occurs in minutes, ending with acute contraction of the pupils prior to death. What? If the defendant, upon seeing the victim stabbed in the back, happened to notice that the pupils of Miss Pratt's eyes had constricted severely. Yes, as a medical research assistant, she would have suspected poison immediately without doubt. Prosecutor Aochi, I think you'll agree this is very compelling evidence. Your costume, you're a professor!
You're going to go down in history as the worst,
wait, what's his side called? Prosecutor ever. I believe the defense has expertly demonstrated a credible reason for the defendant's actions. No. Eugene Mikotova? Yes, Your Excellency. I believe you are best placed here to confirm or deny the veracity of the defense counsel's argument. You will tell the court the truth about the details reported in its newspaper, please? It pains me to have to admit it, but I'm afraid I don't know. You don't know. The toxin was kept under lock and key in my laboratory, certainly, but I was unaware of any theft. Do you mean to tell the court that the reports of the theft are unfounded? No, Your Excellency. Without returning to the laboratory to investigate myself, I couldn't say. Ha! Listen to the bumbling academic. Unaware of the theft of the secret state research from his own workplace until he reads of it in the newspaper. I take full responsibility for the incompetence of my supervision. Father. Pitiful situation for a university professor. You should have more control over your students, rather than allowing them off on killing sprees. That's totally unfounded. Oh. Oh, who just said hold it? Oh, she did! None of this is Professor Mikotova's fault. It's all my fault. Hey, remember, Misan, you stand accused here. Outbursts like this will not be tolerated. But it was me. I was the one who noticed that the poison we were developing had been stolen that day. What? So you knew? I'd been placed in charge of overseeing the project. It was the day that the professor and Soseki-san were interviewed together for the newspaper. That's when I noticed that some of the poison was missing. Just a tiny amount it was. Why didn't you let me know immediately? I was scared. The whole project was supposed to be confidential, but some of the toxin had somehow been taken. So I decided I'd try to get it back before anyone else found out. Because I had a very good idea who the thief was. The thief? You don't mean... Yes, of course. It was a dainty English woman. Miss Giselle Bread. That's why I decided to join a little group of people going to the seaside. Inside the beach hut, I confronted Miss Bread. But she just sat on a stool at the back of the hut, smiling sweetly at me as if she knew she was untouchable. I know it was you who stole the poison. Well now, whatever do you mean? And then, she suddenly got to her feet, before falling to her knees in front of me and then collapsing on the floor. That's when I saw the knife in her back. I couldn't understand what had just happened. And then, a moment later, I was seized with fear. The pupils of her eyes they shrunk to tiny pinpoints. I don't believe it. In other words, you realized that the victim was suffering the effects of the stolen poison. My mind started racing. I hadn't seen anything past Miss Brett's lips whilst I'd been with her, which left only one possible way for the poison to have entered her body: on the blade of the knife in her back. And that train of thought was what spurred you to withdraw the blade. Yes, if the amount that had entered her bloodstream was small enough, she might still have a chance. That's what I hoped. Really, I'm so sorry for staying silent all this time. Your attempt to hide the truth of what happened is not something that can be overlooked. However, I have duly noted the courage with which you confessed in the end. Thank you, Your Excellency. She's going to hit her head if she goes down this far. She's going to hit her head at some point. It's barely perceptible, but I do think the balance has shifted a little here in this courtroom now. Your Excellency, do not be deceived. The victim just collapsed before your eyes, you say. Well, Membami-san, if that is the case, perhaps you could explain how Miss Bride came to be stabbed. Well, you have no answer because the simple truth is that you stabbed the victim motivated by revenge. But you have no conclusive evidence to prove that assertion, do you? Oh, he does? Oh, I have evidence, and it is very much conclusive. What's the prosecution counsel up to? It was brief, but he hesitated for a moment there. I'm almost sure of it. You will produce the aforementioned evidence at once, Prosecutor Aochi. Perhaps some praise is due, young yokel student? What? I had imagined there would be no need for me to submit this evidence. But you've brought this on yourself. What the? Could a more damning shot exist? The cruelty in the air on our beach is almost palpable. Ooh. This evidence, more than any other, reveals the true extent of the accused murderer's nature. For it shows the precise moment that Membami-san plunged her dagger into the victim's back. No, that's not true, no. I don't believe it. The swimwear of that time is so funny to me. Order! Counsel for the defense. Was it you who was responsible for the shrill scream that just pierced my courtroom? Perhaps his voice is yet to break. These yokels are slow of mind and slow to mature. Bruh. What is his problem? Like, you know, with Pain in the normal games, he was just, you know, a little annoying at times, but Aochi's just straight up... It's just straight up mean. Like, not even a way where I can just laugh it off and go like, ah haha, okay, you were written to be that way, but he's just straight up a fucking asshole all of the time. Pain at least was funny. I'll show you who's slow to mature, but whatever. Careful now, Susato is starting to show her face here. It's often said that a picture is worth 1,000 words, and here we have ample proof. The court will accept this extremely cogent photographic print as evidence. So many words I've never heard it before in my life. Photographic print taken at the moment the victim was attacked. My friend Ray can be seen kneeling over Miss Bride. I can't believe he's had a photograph like that up his sleeve the entire time. It's such a stock image, I'm generally lost for words. Wait a minute, I don't understand. How did you... I mean, who took that photograph? That's of no importance here. Stop trying to divert attention. Oh. That's an absurd thing to say. It's crucially important. Because that means there's someone else here. Whoever took this photographic print was a witness to Miss Brad's death. The court must be allowed to hear this person's testimony. I will uphold the defense's demand. The prosecution will reveal the identity of the person responsible for taking this photograph at once. He can't. Well, I'm afraid I can't do that. Pardon? You see, this print arrived at the Imperial Police Bureau headquarters by express post yesterday. But there was nothing to indicate the sender's name or address. The provenance of the print is unknown. You don't even know where the print is from and you're using it as evidence in court? Bro? The fuck is that allowed? Goodness. Are we to understand then, counsel, that in full knowledge of the fact that this photograph has the murkiest of origins, you nevertheless believe it fit for submission as evidence in the Supreme Court? When you first produced that print before, I noticed that you hesitated for a brief moment. Because you knew that wasn't completely reliable evidence, didn't you? Silence, you yokel student, blubbering professor! What matters is the blatant truth that his print so eloquently expresses. But the defendant has already admitted to pulling the blade from the wound. Clearly, this isn't the moment that his knife was plunged into the victim's back, but the moment it was withdrawn. Don't waste this court's time with your ramblings. Excuse me. Indeed, without knowledge of who produced this print, we have no means of verifying the claim. And the scene it captures is without doubt the most compelling evidence presented to the court. If the defense is unable to shed any further light on the matter, I believe the conclusion is clear. Oh no.
Oh no!
Susato, this is the time for you to fight! You're gonna go play paladins, okay? You have fun with that? If what you've established so far is true, then there can be no doubt. This photograph shows the moment that Ray withdrew the blade from the victim. Yes, we just need to prove that somehow. You have plenty of time to rue your defeat on the slow train back to the provinces. And to rue the day you came up against Taketsuchi Aochi in a court of law. If they can't determine who took this photograph, then the trial is going to come to an end. There must be a clue somewhere. There must be some way of working out who took it. It's the same guy who also wrote the article or who took the picture of the father and Susuke. All counsel. Your Excellency, the burning question is who took that photograph. And the truth is, I have the answer. This isn't about whether I can or can't come up with the answer now. I simply have to. The identity of the person who took this dramatic photographic print is, I assure you, something the defense can and will reveal. What? No, you can't possibly. But, as you so boldly claim that you can, please do enlighten us. Unfortunately, I'm unable to present a name. How utterly underwhelming. Did you really believe you could? However, I am able to present evidence. The defense has a piece of evidence that reveals important details about the photographer's identity. Photographers. What? Very well then, counsel. Present your proof to the court. Which piece of evidence do you claim reveals something about the identity of the mystery photographer? This one. What is that? The newspaper again. Roche's England returnees tell all. It's not the headline that's relevant here, Your Excellency. It's a photograph. If you look at it closely, you notice that there's some white lines on the right-hand side. Ah, yes, indeed. They had already caught my eye, as it happens. What of it? A shot of some kind, presumably. From the branches of a tree or the like. There are no trees growing inside my laboratory at the university, I can assure you. Now, if you look closely at this photograph. Good gracious. It's those exact same lines. Yes, exactly the same pattern of lines is present on this photograph too. Well, that tells us nothing. Haha, yes, it's a shot of some kind, definitely. From the branches of a tree. Why would it be white, then? There wouldn't be any trees growing inside the hut of the beach council. What's quite remarkable about it is that the two patterns are absolutely identical. How could such an extraordinary similarity have transpired? The curious matching pattern that appears in both photographic prints is a result of a camera defect. If he was smart, he would have said this only proves what camera was used, not who used it. True. But that's not in the script. Obviously, it must be due to a problem with the camera used to take the photographs. With the photographic device. Yes, we can confidently say that the camera's lens must be scratched, and that the scratched lens causes unwanted lines to appear in every print taken with the device. In short, the two photographs under consideration here were taken with the same camera. But there must be hundreds of such camera devices here in the capital. It would be utterly impossible to identify the owner of this particular one. Why? I mean, what? I mean, we have the fucking thing article in the newspaper. Why wouldn't we be able to get the photographer? I think you're forgetting, Prosecutor Aochi. The one of the photographs featured in a newspaper is one. Wait, what? Featured in a newspaper article. Yeah, okay, I read it correctly. A newspaper. Ah, that's right. The author of that article is the mystery witness to this crime. What? Me smart. Many what? I see why you were called a Roche's England returnee. What are you yelling about? You've already testified. It's many memo, I tell you, many memo. Memo. Soseki-san, what was that? Did you say many memo? Ever since I returned to Japan, a reporter from the Shoujo News has been hounding me, following my every move. A reporter by the name of Writing Many Memo. Writing many memos? Is that the name? Yes, hounding me from dawn till dusk. Ah, now that he mentions it. There's that guy in the back. Could the same reporter be? The camera to the left of him, and notebook to the right. There I am, stuck in the middle with Writing Many Memo. So you're saying that this picture was taken by Many Memo? Yes, my lord, your excellency, Esquire. Officer, find this newspaper reporter at once and bring him to my courtroom. We will adjourn for a short recess in the meantime. Oh, yes, your excellency. As you say, your excellency. And one more thing. I want this knife, the murder weapon, examined for traces of poison. You will solicit the assistance of the Imperial University's medical department for the task. Understood. Ooh, what happened to my voice there? Ooh, Jesus. Hello. Hello. Meh. Many memo! Many memo!
Many memo. Many memo.
Many memo! To be continued! Wow! Interesting! That's already our first, break. Save your current progress. Yes, absolutely. Very much so. Yes, please. Also, I actually also need a very small break because I realized I did not get something new to drink before we started the stream, so I'm very sorry about that. I will be right back. Give me like a minute or 2 minutes. I will put on a nice song in the meantime, okay? I'm so sorry, you guys. There we go. I will be right back. You guys can't even see me yet, but
Mini memo.
sorry about that. For some reason, my ear found it to be very perfect timing to stop bleeding as well. So we're back with a bunch of tissues. I hope you like the song. I'm gonna... sorry about that. Alright, let's get back into it. Vibing! We are vibing! That's good. I'm glad you're vibing. Ouch. Would anyone like to exchange ears? I don't like these very much. They're faulty. 13th of August, 10:41 a.m. Supreme Court of Judicature, Defendants Anti-Chamber 3. I'm so sorry, Susato. I should have told you about the toxin. Right. You have a strong sense of responsibility, I know. That's why you decided to shoulder the burden alone. No, that's not it at all. I was scared of my failure coming to light, that's all. So I hoped to retrieve the substance from the Englishwoman before anyone found out. And now she's dead. Maybe she killed herself. Okay, though, how would you kill yourself with a knife to the back? That sounds a little hard to do, I think. Before the trial started, do you remember what you said, Susato? That you had no doubt in your mind about my innocence? That you'd stand by me to the last? I remember. And yet I didn't deserve your trust in me. I hid important details from you, Susato. I completely betrayed your faith in me. Hit me, Susato, I deserve it. No, in fact, throw me to the floor. No, that's too good for me as well. Drag me through the city streets. I like her style. I'm not bad though, you know. Oh, I'm not. Why not? Even though in my heart I knew that you'd pulled the knife blade from Miss Bride's bag, there was just a brief moment when, in my mind, I doubted you. Susato, I'm sorry. After I stood there and promised you that I'd stand by you and always be on your side, I betrayed your faith in me too. And as such, I failed you as a lawyer. Oh, no. I think the situation has taught both of you a valuable lesson. Placing your unbridled faith in another is no easy task. That's true. Yes, Father, the fact has certainly struck home. Which is why I can see more clearly now. So, Ray, yes, can you find it in your heart to forgive me? Oh, Susato. You know you always be a gallant dashing lawyer in my eyes now. She's so cute. She's so cute. I love her. I love her. Oh, Ray. I was so scared, you know, when it happened. I didn't know what was going on. The Englishwoman was sitting at the back of the hut listening to what I was saying. I know it was you who stole the poison. Well now, whatever do you mean? And then she just flops over. And then a moment later, she suddenly got to her feet. Before collapsing on the floor in front of me, with a knife in her bag. But maybe she did do it! It all happened right before my eyes. And you were the only people in the hut at the time. That's right, just Miss Bride and myself. There was no one else. So I just don't understand how she could possibly have been stabbed like that. A great mystery indeed. I still can't believe it happened. That's why I just couldn't bring myself to speak up. It will be alright. However it happened, and whatever really went on by the sea that day, I promise you that I'm going to prove everything you've said you saw is true. Spoken like a true Mikotova. Now, I think we should discuss what's coming up in the trial, don't you? We don't have much time. We must make sure we have our facts in order. Yes, I expect the poison is going to come under close scrutiny in the upcoming proceedings. The police should hopefully have identified it on the blade by now. The trouble is, it's a completely new laboratory synthesized blend of alkaloids. The police won't have any way of testing for it. Oh, I see. Yes, without this chemical reagent, it's impossible to detect the toxin. Chemical reagent? I sent a colleague of mine off with some earlier to deliver to police headquarters. I think perhaps you should have some as well, though, just in case. A special indicator solution for a new poison under development by my father's team. It's been created in strict secrecy and exists only in my father's laboratory. I wonder if we're ever going to need that, no? What's the matter, Susato? He's suddenly very quiet. It's this newspaper article. Exclusive! Deadly poison stolen from UN Medical Research Laboratory. I'm wondering how the information got out, given that it was a government secret. It was all the English woman's doing. What? It was when the professor and Soseki-san were being interviewed at the laboratory. That so-called English lady swarmed in and without any compunction said to Professor Mikotoba, "Oh, Professor, surely your guests would love to hear about your work on a substance there." It put me in a very awkward position, to be frank. But Soseki-san's curiosity had been piqued, so I had little choice but to give him a cursory introduction. So then, Soseki-san knew about the poison. Yes, and it's highly likely that the reporter who was writing up the story about us would have caught a glimpse of the toxin too. This many Meno-san. Memo. By the way, did that reporter join you all when you went to the beach? Oh, no, I don't remember the reporter being there. Indeed, he shouldn't have been. I very much doubt anyone would have wanted him there. Oh. A known criminal had been given permission by the authorities to bathe by the seaside, so Soseki-san pointed out that inviting a reporter might be problematic, so the man was sent back to his office. Yet he obviously didn't go back. He secretly followed the party to the beach and took this very candid photograph. And then presumably he posted it anonymously to the police. Yes, that must be what happened. Counsel, we've just heard that the new witnesses are ready to testify. The trial is about to resume. Please proceed into the courtroom at once. Wow, the Belief gets a 3D model! Ooh. It's time to steel ourselves once again then. Defense attorney Ryotaro Naruto. Yes! Ooh. Naryu's put a faith in me now and told me everything. So I can't let her down. I have to prove that what she's telling the court is true. I have to prove what really happened that day. Ooh. "13th of August, 11:30 a.m. Supreme Court of Judicature, Courtroom 1. Alrighty, hit me. I hereby call this court to order as we reconvene to continue the trial of Ray Membami. Prosecutor Oji, have you summoned a new witness?" What's wrong? Before I address that question, Your Excellency, I have some very important news to share. Oh. What news? And why does he look so happy about it? During the recess of the collaboration of Professor Mikotoba's laboratory at Yume University, the police re-examined the knife that was used to end Miss Giselle Brad's life. Excellent. I admire your rapid handling of the matter. Oh, too kind, Your Excellency, too kind. I was merely carrying out your instructions, of course. I had the region delivered to police headquarters by rickshaw, so it would be there in good time. But judging by the man's swagger, I feel we might need to brace ourselves for the inevitable. And, Counsel, what were the results? They couldn't find the poison. Is that what you're saying? This dagger, which was so cruelly used to end the life of the victim, has no trace of poison anywhere along its blade. What? Are you sure about that? I would stake the reputation of the police on it. With the region, the test is extremely simple. They couldn't have made a mistake. A small knife from the scene of the crime that was found in the victim's back. No trace of poison was found on the blade. In short, the accused's feeble excuses earlier has been utterly destroyed. Damn. That hurts. Now the prosecution's ready to call the new witness. Ah, the newspaper reporter who managed to capture a photograph of the crucial moment. Good. Very well, officer. Bring in the witness. No trace of poison on the knife. But if that's really the case, maybe she got the poison into her system some other way. How could the toxin have entered the victim's body? Ah. Yeah, that's the guy. Witness, please state your name and occupation for the court. Right, Manny Memo of the Shoujo News. I'm what people like to call a journal. What's a journal, Father? Do you know? It's simply a contraction of journalist. I'm where the news breaks, putting pen to paper to catch these scoops so then print the next morning. They don't call me the hero of the hour for nothing. The nice guy of news. Oh, so it was you who took this photograph, was it? Well, well, what have we here? I'm sorry. Oh, brace yourselves, people. Minimum senses a scoop in the offing. Female student up to full play, defended by curiously handsome young lawyer in Supreme Court. The readers will have preserved. We'll set it above the folder 72 point in a 5 lakh format for the morning edition. Huh? Right then, let's start with your name. Oh, it's Ryotaro Naruhodo. Next, what made you want to become a lawyer? I want to reform our country's legal system, I suppose. Ryotaro has suddenly become very ambitious, I see. I just borrowed Kazuma-sama's dream for a while. By the way, my name is Taketsuchi Aochi. That's Taketsuchi Aochi. The so-called dark horse of the Supreme Court. My objectives strike fear into every defense lawyer's heart. Uh-huh. No, the readers won't buy that. What? Witness. Yes. What this court demands to know is whether or not you were responsible for the taking of this picture. It was delivered anonymously to the Imperial Police Bureau only yesterday. Yeah, I wouldn't be a journo if I didn't click quick when presented with a scoop like that now, would I? Sometimes stories call out to me, sometimes I have to chase them down, but either way you've got to be fast. Fast legs go... what? Fast legs to run with and a fast hand to ride with. It's no good if you don't know the down, I always say. That's what I call my many memoism. Just say yes, I took the picture. Many memoism. Oh yes, I remember your face. We met that day when you were interviewing myself and Soseki-san. Yes, right. That was me, Many Memo again. But you were supposed to be going back to the Shoujo News offices after our meeting. But the scoop is, I didn't. Because that English woman's words had piqued my journalistic interest. Miss Pratt's words. A criminal left to do as she pleases just because she happens to be a British citizen. It's horse dung. This country's judiciary is rotten to the core. The Supreme Court's rulings aren't worth the paper they're written on. The police are just imperial pawns. Stay your tongue, young man. There are complex political issues at play. Well, anyway, I quickly jotted down those words she said in my memo pad. Are you ready? I'll read it out. It's all here, right? Here goes. I should like to go with everyone to see your country's coast. A serious criminal going on some junket. The people need to know about this. That's why I decided to sneak after them. To get the woman's story so I could hammer her in the press. Do you mean to say that you did indeed witness it firsthand? The grim scene portrayed in this photograph? Oh yes, I saw it with my very own journo eyes. From start to finish, through the viewfinder of my trusty camera. Oh. Thank you, Many Memo-san. You will now give a formal testimony before the court. You will state exactly what it is that you witnessed of the events surrounding Miss Pratt's death. Okay. You do that. And I'm going to take it apart one by one. Camera never lies. The beach hut was made of shoddy old reed screens, so there were plenty of gaps I could see inside through. The English woman was sitting on a stool when the student girl came in and started arguing with her. Seconds later, the girl pulled out a knife, throwing the English woman to the floor as she stabbed her in the back. That doesn't even make sense. My smoldering Jonas spirit burst into flames. Quick as a flash, I whipped out my camera, ready to click. I pulled apart the rough weave of one of the screens and poked the lens through for the perfect shot. Oh, okay. Reed screens, you say? Right, you can see them clearly enough in that great shot I snapped. The hut walls were just screens made of coarsely woven reeds. What's a reed? Yes, it allows the rays to pass through and bring some relief from the summer heat. And it was a breeze for me to poke my camera through and see the whole thing hotting up. Ignoring for the time being the appalling invasion of privacy involved. Did you witness everything that happened from the moment the defendant entered the hut? Oh yeah. I have to... this doesn't have anything to do with the case, but like, early on the radio today, I heard like that they're thinking about making it mandatory for people working in healthcare in Germany to state whether they are vaccinated or not. And there's people arguing against it because, oh no, that would be an invasion of privacy and of their personal rights if they had to divulge that information. I'm just like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, they're arguing, oh no, it's an invasion of privacy if you force people to tell you whether they're vaccinated. Are you fucking kidding me? Like, hello? I'm not surprised because that's always the thing with in Germany. It's always like, oh no, that's an invasion of privacy. That's an invasion of privacy. We cannot give out that information. But it's so dumb. It's so fucking dumb. I really hope they won't, you know, the people that are against people in healthcare divulging or being forced to tell if they are vaccinated or not. I really hope they won't win. Good friends of mine work in healthcare, and like one friend of mine works with small children, and her the entire institution is vaccinated. Obviously, they've been part of the very first rounds actually, but her direct boss is an anti-vaxxer. Like, obviously she's like on the down low. She got vaccinated because she was forced to, but like she is very much going against every single thing there is. Going, oh no, we don't want the mask and I can't breathe and da da da. While she works with children from ages 1 to 4. She's like, oh no, COVID-19 is not real. It's all a hoax by the government. They're all forcing us, they're microchipping us. Like, you work with small children, what's your damage? It's because of people like that we won't get rid of it anytime soon. Sorry, I just had to talk about it for a second because I heard it on the radio earlier. I was like, wow, there's really people saying, no, invasion of privacy if I have to tell you whether I'm vaccinated. You know what that tells me? If you refuse to tell me whether you're vaccinated or not, you know what that tells me? You're not vaccinated. Anyone you ask, if, you know, whether they're vaccinated or not and they're vaccinated, they will tell you. They will tell you the exact fucking moment they got vaccinated. And if you go, oh, I'd rather not tell, I know you're not vaccinated. That's all there is to it. Like, the fuck? The fucking fuck. Okay, enough. enough. I'm mad. I'm mad. I need. There we go. I need some fresh air in here now that I'm mad. No, a heated gaming moment. It's not even the game that's making me mad though. No, a heated gaming moment. For real though. Like obviously if you cannot get vaccinated because, I don't know, they don't have vaccines, that's another thing, but like everyone can get vaccinated in Germany right now, so fucking why not do it? I am now 5G. I can now receive, I don't know, funky waves. I have already upgraded to the latest version of being a human. Oh my god. Vaccine inaccessibility is a huge issue. I have a few friends from Indonesia who were talking about it a while back. Yeah, like obviously in countries where they don't have enough vaccines, or it's you just cannot get it either because of the government being shitty in that sense, or something else. Obviously, I'm not talking about those. I'm just talking about because it's such an, like here in Germany, it's very much accessible. They put the vaccine into people pretty much. You just walk into your local doctor's office and they go, okay, yeah, sure, here's your vaccine. Pretty much. That's pretty much what's happening here in Germany. So I really don't understand when people go, oh,
I'm not. It's so hard to get the vaccine. Wee.
Alright. Let's get back to our game. Did you witness everything that happened from the moment the defendant entered the hut? Oh yes, I saw it. I saw the whole thing from start to finish. Oh. And you say that you took the photograph to a gap in one of the screens. Luckily for me, they were pretty shoddily woven. Sorry. I pulled the reeds apart and thrust the lens of my camera through the gap. Would I get away with it or would I be seen? It was the gamble of a lifetime. A tenacity of purpose that's considered admirable in a journalist, I suppose. Run a risk one day, run a scoop the next. That's minimus in a nutshell. At last, it would appear we have a genuine witness to this wicked crime. The evidence and testimony are extremely compelling. I believe we may be close to a verdict. No, we're not! Wonderful news, Your Excellency. Wonderful. Nevertheless, it cannot be denied that this testimony begs one very large question. What question? Exclusive news, a styling photograph, and all the makings of an exceptional story for the reporter. Why then was the story never published? That's a very good question. I must agree. Oh, that's right. Maybe he's not an actual journalist. No, wait, he is. Interesting. It seems clear to me that there's circumstances at play here that are yet to be understood. More pathetic excuses. Very well then, Counsel. Proceed with your cross-examination. Yes, Your Excellency. There's more to this report than meets the eye. He's keeping something about his case very close to his chest. He has muscles in his arms. Like, more than I would think, you know. The journalists are mostly designed to be like those scrawny dudes. So I'm surprised he has some muscle in his arms. Camera never lies. Alright. The beach was made of shoddy old reeds, so there are plenty of gaps, things wrong standing on the stool. Go pull out a knife. Why would she pull out the knife and then throw her to the floor? That seems awfully convoluted. Do you swear before this court that you actually saw the precise moment when the stabbing took place? Ha! The precise moment? I didn't see just that. I saw the whole hellish scene play out from start to finish. I have here a simple plan of the beach hut. Perhaps you could use it to explain to the court exactly what you witnessed. Okay. Right you are. It's all here in my many memo pad. I hate that. I hate many memo pad. 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 Many. Makes for a very good how do you say it? Tongue twister. Many memo pad. When I first peered into the hut, I'm sure that the English woman was on this stool at the back of the hut here. Yes, the accused's own testimony confirmed that. She just sat at the back of the hut, smiling sweetly, is what I have noted down. It's my turn to testify now. Try not to interrupt. Then the next moment, as I was watching, the evil student girl entered the hut. After a while, the pair of them ended up in the middle of the hut, arguing furiously. The English woman went for the student, but the girl dodged out of the way. And in a flash plunged the knife into her adversary's back as the two passed each other. Yeah, I don't think that's what happened. Why is my phone almost dead? There we go. What you describe as a grim crime, indeed. Never sugarcoat the truth. That's what many memoism says. Okay, a plan of the layout of the small beach hut where the victim was found. Sure. By the way, Many Mamo-san, whilst you were watching that terrible scene unfold before your eyes through the gap in the screen, did it not occur to you to try to prevent the tragedy rather than capture it on film? Journalists have to be observers. We can't get involved. That's our raison d'être. I don't know. I don't speak French. So you didn't converse with Miss Brad at all? Obviously not. An observer always remains on the outside looking in. And that's something to be proud of, is it? Your Excellency, if I may. Yes, Professor. I think the witness's last expertly phrased statement should perhaps be added to his formal testimony. Father, what are you... Oh? What's that about? I will grant the defense's request. I don't know why, but sure. Many Mamo-san, you will supplement your formal testimony with the aforementioned statement. Well, nihilism is the foundation of many memoism, but I clearly proved that my words aren't meaningless. I'm glad. I never once set foot in the hut nor spoke with the English woman. I was there only as an observer. I see. He claims to have spied the whole affair from start to finish. If true, his testimony is devastating. But it does seem as though he's holding something back, doesn't it? If that's how you feel, I suggest that you trust your instincts and press him on everything he said. As you've no doubt seen done many times before in your role as judicial assistant. Yes, I have. I've seen witnesses like this pressed often. I know exactly what to do. We're going to look more... Oh no, wait, we're not going to look at the court record more. Yeah. We take off the pen's lid. Just the pen. Can I open this one? Can I open it? There's some sort of emblem here, look. But it isn't a Yume University one. It must belong to some other organization, I suppose, a business of some kind, but it would seem to imply that the pen does in fact belong to Ray. Oh. Can I not open this thing? Now let's unscrew the barrel, shall we? Ah, there we go. That's what I was trying to do. Ah! This must be the little reservoir that holds the ink. Yes, you fill it by drawing ink from a bottle up through the nip. Is something wrong, Father? Just that there doesn't actually appear to be any ink in there, that's all. Oh yes, you're right, it's pretty much empty. Well, it could be on the verge of running out, I suppose. There's a very small amount of liquid still inside the ink reservoir. The Englishman is the name of the store, because I am pulled apart. I never once set foot in Hadno or spoke with the English woman. I was there only as an observer. What? I don't think so. I don't believe that. And I think I have good reason to not believe it. Many men must end. Until now I've had a firm belief that newspapers are in the business of uncovering and publishing the truth. You're spot on there. The press doesn't lie, which is why I'm proud to wear the emblem of the Shoujo News on my arm. That's exactly what I was trying to talk to you about. In a way, that's more many memoism. I've said it so many times, you'd think I'd know it by now. Sadly, though, it seems the journalists who write for those papers don't always share the same passion for truth. What are you suggesting with those recriminatory wards, Council? Many Memo-san, do you recognize this fountain pen? Ah, this pen was found at the scene of Miss Bratt's death. In fact, the murder victim... In fact, the murdered victim was gripping it in her hand as she died. Yo. Ouch, Jesus. What are you... If you look at the barrel of the pen, you'll notice that its owner's initials are engraved here. RM. Yes, thank you for bringing that up, Counsel. The initials of the accused, Ray Mbami. Is it a coincidence, I wonder? That your initials are also RM. No! Write in many memo. RM. Not to be confused with Kim Namjoon. Stage name RM from world famous band BTS. I don't know, it's just so funny to me. That's horse dung. Can you see? One of the central tenets of many memoism is being a pencil user. And yet, as the court will clearly be able to see, on your right hand, there is a very obvious blue ink stain. It would appear that you must have rather carelessly left it somewhere recently. Your favorite fountain pen, that is. Horsey horse dung! Well, it wouldn't be horse dung. If it was from a horse, I guess. Many Memo-san, is it not the case that before she died, you met with Giselle Brad in a beach hut? Ho ho! Why should we listen to this absurd nonsense? There's nothing but another excuse. Exactly. Shoujo News was stand behind me all the way. I deny everything. There must be as many people with the initials RM as there are stars in the night sky. The defense has neither the time nor the inclination to count every star in the sky. And there's no need anyway, because this pen has more to tell. Yes, there's another clue. A clue that undeniably proves who its owner really is. In that case, Counsel, the defense will now show the court where this alleged clue lies. Sure. Of course, Your Excellency. The clue in this fountain pen clearly reveals its owner's identity is right fucking here. Ah, wait. I have to present it, not just click on it. We read that already. Kokora! As well as the initials, there's also an emblem on this fountain pen. An emblem that you will of course recognize, many Memo-san. Goodness me, it's the emblem of the Shoujo News. In other words, the owner of this pen is an employee of the Shoujo News whose initials are RM. Suddenly the stars in the night sky don't seem so numerous, do they? Well, Minimamo-san, how do you respond? No! Oh. But do you think he's the killer? I don't think he's the killer. Order! Explain yourself, witness. So this is how the mighty Supreme Court works, is it? Using coercive tactics to have well-meaning citizens reveal harmless secrets. I've used nothing but honest tactics. Alright then, fine. I won't try to hide it anymore. Yes, not long before the grim tragedy unfolded, I, a Shoujo News reporter on behalf of the public, conducted an interview with the English woman. An interview? You never mentioned this before. When exactly was this? As I said, it was before that evil little student girl showed her face in the hut. It couldn't have lasted more than 2 or 3 minutes, that's all. It was just a brief exchange. But it came to nothing, and as most says, the people don't pay their dues for unworthy news. However insignificant you deem it to be, this court cannot overlook the meeting between yourself and the victim. You will testify now under oath about the precise nature of this meeting and what transpired. Got it, yes, alright, but... on one condition. Condition? You're in a court of law! In all good conscience, I couldn't speak out alone about this. You need to call back the earlier witness, Soseki Natsume-san. Soseki-san? Oh yes, according to my notes here, that man has a secret of his own, and brace yourselves. Because it's not a harmless one, it's big. What? What? Many memoism states that one man's secret is every other man's front-page story. Now you're just saying words that don't make sense. Very well, I will grant the witness's request in this instance. Officer, summon the earlier witness back to the stand. Soseki-san hiding something. Guess who's back? Back again. I asked the English woman for an interview, but she declined, so I left the hut without making a fuss. Then, watching secretly from outside, I saw the woman being stabbed and the other witnesses come running. The detective realized that the victim still had a pulse, so he ran off to fetch help. That's when this riderman he asked the woman a very significant question. But he didn't say anything about it in his testimony, which is why many memoism demands I reveal it now. Okay. You mean to say the victim regained consciousness? Well, and when she did, you decided to ask her a question. That's, true, yes. Soseki-san, why? Hello, TK, good evening. He did, and that's not all. The woman gave him a very definite answer. An answer that incriminates the accused. This is preposterous. Why am I only hearing about this now? Why didn't you mention this before, you jockle hack? It wasn't even a conversation! Yes, I did pose the withering English rose a question. I don't deny it. But she could no longer speak. She was barely conscious even. Counsel for the defense, I expect a thorough cross-examination to be conducted here. This court must and will know the truth. Absolutely, Your Excellency. The report is claiming that Miss Brett implicated Ray somehow. What on earth could have happened in that hut? Witnesses' secrets. I asked the English woman for an interview, but she declined, so I left the hut without making a fuss. Then, watching secretly from outside, I saw the woman being stabbed and the other witnesses come running. The detective realized that the victim still had a pulse, so he ran off to fetch help. That's when this writer man here asked someone. Okay, what is the question? What question? Oh my god. What's wrong with me? A question, what exactly did he say? Well now, you should hear it from the horse's mouth, I think. Don't you, Mr. Riderman? Ah! Out with it, you yokel hag! What did you say to her? What did you say to the dying Englishwoman? Well, in truth, I've been catching crabs at the water's edge and building castles in the sand, you see. Well, the seaside is a place to be at leisure, I suppose, even for a grown man. But then all of a sudden, from that little beach hut, a young girl's panic-stricken cries for help pierced the air, whatever. Right. I ran up to the beach to see what was happening, to find the defendant leaning over the collapsed victim. As soon as Inspector Hosonaga saw him spread on the ground, he sprinted off to get help. And then, just a moment later, I heard a faint moan. A moan from the dead English woman. I nearly jumped out of my skin. But what did you ask her, Soseki-san? I asked her, who did this to you? Don't protect us any longer. How did the woman respond? She didn't! She said nothing in response. But... When in the stand, you will answer the questions asked of you unambiguously. Now, without evasion or reticence, I demanded you amend your testimony. I will! The poor dude. I asked her who did this to you, but she never replied. Okay, well. She just lifted a trembling finger and pointed in the direction of the defendant. Wait, but where was she at the time? Because if she just, you know, pointed to the back of the hut, she could very well mean the reporter who was outside, I presume. Miss Brett pointed a finger at the defendant. Soseki-san, is that really true? It's not easy to stand here and say this, but when we first entered the beach hut, the Englishwoman was sprawled on the floor before us, with the student girl standing on the far side of her, and when I asked who did this to you, the Englishwoman summoned her last ounce of strength to point a trembling finger at the back of the hut. That's what I'm saying, the back of the hut, not the defendant. The back of the hut. Which was, it can't be denied, in the direction of the student girl who stands accused today. No. Soseki-san, why on earth did you neglect to mention this in your original testimony? But fiddlesticks, I say. This is not a British court of law. You will respond in Japanese. Yes, of course. The Englishwoman did point a finger towards the back of the hut, but I was trembling. And she was trembling. And everything was a blur. And thinking about it, I feel as though perhaps she was pointing in a slightly different direction. Actually, no, not slightly, in a very different direction to where the student girl was standing. To somewhere at the back of the hut where nobody was standing at all. You mean that your memory of events and the direction in which the victim was pointing are both unclear? Yes, that's it, unclear. I'm very, very unclear. Your Excellency, surely this proves the matter beyond all reasonable doubt. Yes, the woman may barely have been conscious, and yes, perhaps her finger wavered slightly. But there can be no doubt that this was an attempt by the victim to confirm the identity of her assailant. Why? Because as the court can see, there was no one other than the accused in the direction the victim was pointing. It is now evidently clear that no one besides the accused could possibly have committed this crime. I'm inclined to agree. And in the absence of any credible argument to the contrary, I believe we can now conclude this trial. No! The headline's writing itself. Okay, never mind, I think he did it. I don't know why though. Dashing lawyers hopes dashed. 90.2, the 92 points across the whole page. We do an extra edition. This is a serious blow, Susato. Unless we're able to identify the true culprit and substantiate our claim with evidence, the judge will give his ruling and the trial will be over. But that's impossible, Father. We don't even know how the crime was committed yet. Impossible though the task may seem, we have no choice. We must think back over everything we've learned thus far. Somewhere in all those details, I'm confident we find the clue we need. Marie gave us her account of how events unfolded in the defendant's antechamber before the trial resumed. She told us what happened at the precise moment Miss Brad was killed. The Englishwoman was sitting at the back of the hut, listening to what I was saying. And then a moment later, she suddenly got to her feet, before collapsing on the floor in front of me with a knife in her back. How could Miss Brad have been stabbed in the back in a beach hut that was empty but for herself and Ray? Somewhere with all the information we've gathered so far, there must be an answer to that question. I take it then that the defense has nothing further to add. Well, that's not true. I definitely have something further to add. So the gallant yokel student's luck finally runs out. I can't say I'm surprised. In that case, I'm ready to deliver my final verdict on this matter. This is a crucial turning point now. If I can't establish what really happened, it's over. Where was the real culprit hiding, and how did he or she stab the victim? I know.
Igiani.
Your Excellency, I respectfully ask you to postpone your adjudication for the time being. Oh, to what end, Counsel? The defense would like to present the court with an alternative theory. An alternative theory that can explain who the victim was actually trying to implicate with the dying teacher. An alternative theory? Ha! None exists. There was someone else present at the scene who could have committed this crime. What? And the victim, Miss Brad, tried to reveal who it was to those around her at the time, by mustering all her remaining strength and pointing a threatening finger in the killer's direction. This is fiction, fantasy! Very well. As you seem so sure of yourself, Counsel, I'm prepared to hear alternative theory. So, young Ryotaro Naruhodo. Yes, Your Excellency. You will present your latest theory to the court by means of this plan. At the moment the victim was stabbed, where exactly are you proposing the culprit was concealed? Naruhodo-san would never give up, and I'm a Naruhodo now. The true culprit who fatally stabbed Miss Brad was concealed in this location here. Are you mad, Counsel? You're suggesting the culprit was outside the hut? What? Yes. Order. Listen, if you can, if you can put an entire camera through, like, some kind of gap in the wall, you could definitely put a knife in there. A student lawyer Naruhodo-san is quiet. That makes no sense at all. You just pointed out the exact spot where I was hiding to get my scoop snap. But I didn't see any suspicious individuals loitering about, I can swear to that. Obviously, if the culprit had been outside the hut, there's no way that he or she could have stabbed the victim who was inside the hut. Just say they! Actually, Prosecutor Uchide is away. And, in point of fact, the defense can provide evidence strongly suggesting that is precisely the way Miss Brad was killed. You're bluffing. You're bluffing, you yokel! The defense's assertion is clearly too fantastical for the court to comprehend. You will need to give us more guidance, Counsel. What piece of evidence corroborates your theory that the victim was stabbed from outside the hut? A picture of the crime scene. Present. The original photographic print of the crime scene. Yes, it's clearly visible in this print. The trace of the fatal thruster was delivered from outside the beach hut. Wait, no. Oh. Do you take us for fools? There's no hint of any such thing. I'm not sure that everyone present would agree. Someone, at least, appears to have noticed what it is that I'm referring to. Counsel, once again I must call on you to be explicit for the court. Where in this photograph was the trace of the stabbing, which you claim to have placed from outside the hut? Well, here. Oh god, I hope the hitbox they made for this is big enough. Come on. I want to center it, but I can't. Oh, I can. There we go. Look closely just here. In the screen at the back of the hut, You can see the effects of a blade having been forced through the reeds. No, I can't. I can't see any such thing. It's true that the hut in question had 4 walls as you'd expect. However, by parting the reeds, a knife blade could easily penetrate them. This is extraordinary. Yes. The true culprit actually stabbed the victim from outside the beach hut. Ah. And of everyone present at the scene, there's only one person who could have done that. Only one person who was directly outside the hut when Miss Brad was killed. I feel like you've been burned by A before by getting penalized for not being specific in that in where you meant to examine present. No! Whatever do you mean? I've definitely never, you know, pointed at the thing I meant and the game was like, oh no, what are you talking about? We're not seeing it, because I was like, a pixel off? A pixel? A pixel? And I hate getting penalized in these games because I feel very proud of myself when I get through them with all of the life thingies intact. Right, Many Memo-san? It could have only been you. This preposterous idea leaves me almost speechless. Just look at the photograph again. The victim lies almost exactly in the center of the beach hut, does she not? Are we to assume, as part of this forceful scenario, that the assailant was a knife thrower? No, of course not. We're not. If you recall the testimony of the defendant about the events just before the victim's death. Inside the beach hut I confronted Miss Pratt, but she just sat on a stool at the back of the hut, smiling sweetly at me as if she knew she was untouchable. A stool? Have another look at the photograph. It's right there. The slit in the reed screen would align perfectly with the back of a person who was sitting on that stool. My word. So, in fact, the victim was... Kills was sitting on that stool by a stab wound to her back delivered through the reed screen. Ah. Having been attacked, Miss Brad rose to her feet instinctively. But then, unable to speak, she collapsed on the floor in the middle of the hut. Before the defendant, Membami-san's appalled eyes. And that, Your Excellency, is the truth of what happened on the beach that day. By your silence, Many Memo-san? I take it that you don't deny the charge. This is absurd. That will do. It would appear that we have a tacit admission of guilt from the witness. Accordingly, this court has successfully established the truth of this matter, which means that the defendant, Membami-san, is innocent of the crime. Oh, thank goodness. I finally made him cave. I must say, I've never been more proud. Oh, it's not over yet. It's not over yet. No, this can't be. The Archie clan can... What of my growth? My growth of hope? It wasn't all an apparition. I can't accept this. I won't. I see no reason for the continuance of this trial. I will therefore move to conclude proceedings by delivering my final verdict then. Yeah, that's what I thought. Well, this is all very convenient. This is how the highest court in our mighty empire delivers justice, is it? Suppressing well-meaning citizens' freedom to speak and branding them as criminals. But we've established that the victim was stabbed from outside the hut through the reed screen walls. And no one but you was in place at the time to have his hand on the hilt of the blade. It's a perfectly logical deduction. So, your argument hinges on the location of whoever stabbed the Englishwoman, does it? Well, it seems a little irrelevant now. Irrelevant? Where she was stabbed, how she was stabbed. It doesn't matter. I mean, whether she was stabbed at all makes no difference if you think about it. After all, this trial's already shown the whole thing hinges on something else. What are you talking about? Yeah, he's talking about the poison, because we didn't find an ounce of poison on the knife. Brace yourself, little man. I'm talking about the fact that everything's changed. Because of the dirt you dug up. What? Enough obscurity, explain yourself, witness. What's to explain? I'm talking about the poison, of course. The poison? Let's ask the professor for comment on the situation, shall we? I understand that the deadly poison you were developing was thrown from your laboratory, correct? And it's been shown that this poison was administered to the victim as bread, is that right? That is correct. The unusual constriction of the victim's pupils are a sure sign that this particular poison was used. I see. So, presumably that means that the victim already had the poison in her body before she was stabbed. Ah. Given that her pupils were clearly constricted, it seems highly likely, yes. If she had been dead already, the poison could not have circulated in her blood. How refreshing to hear the argument of a metropolitan mind. Precisely. It matters not a jot who stabbed whom, in whose back, and with whose blade. Because, quite simply, the Englishwoman's life was taken not by the knife, but by the poison. But that can be explained by the poison being on the blade, as I already... forgotten already, have we, Yokel? During these very proceedings, the laboratory of the professor at your side assisted in proving that the blade of the weapon used to attack the victim had no trace of poison on it whatsoever. It's in the pen. It's in the compartment of the ink. Isn't it? So let me get this down. The facts, as skillfully established by the defense in this trial, turn out to be a headline-making red herring. Is that about right? Well... he's good. He's good at his job. But it won't help him. But where does this leave us? How, in that case, did the poison enter the victim's body? There's an undeniably obvious answer to that. The lady most likely what? She what? Stop using words I have never heard before in my life. Imbib? What does that mean? She drank it. Or absorbed it. Why don't you just say drank? In a way. Buy isn't by disaster. She imbibed it? You mean she drank it? Oh, well, okay, maybe I should just continue reading. Have another look at the photograph here. As you can see, a bottle of carbonated water and a glass had been knocked onto the sandy floor of the beach hut. The poison could have been slipped into either. So somebody made Miss Brett drink it. Well, what do you know? Look at those dashing eyes. This will make for a great front-page shot. Hey, why the bewitching stare? After all, I'm the last person you should be looking at. It would make no sense at all that I poisoned a woman, would it? I mean, that's been established already. In Baptists usually use the medical context. Makes sense that you wouldn't run into it. Ah, I see. Also makes sense that our Mr. Doctor here would use it. Or like, you know, he's a medical professor. Doctor may be the wrong word, but he's practitioner in the medical field, so he would use that word. That makes sense. Established, what are you talking about? Don't tell me you've forgotten. That's a little hard to believe, given that the person who established it was you. Me? What on earth does he mean? Oh, let me capture those wide eyes. This is prime press fodder, this is. It would seem that this trial is not destined to end yet, after all. I hereby call upon the witness to give further testimony. That's great, that is. Let me get a shot of that magnificent bird, Your Excellency. claim it to be impossible that you were the one responsible for administering the poison to the victim. You will explain to the court in your testimony the basis upon which you make such a claim. I'm a Jonan and I'm a man. I've never tried to run or hide from anything in my life. And I'm not about to start now, because that's many memoism. Shut the fuck up. For a brief moment I thought I'd illuminated the truth, but it slipped right back into obscurity again. Just where's this trial going to take us? That's a good question. Complete innocence. Ah yes, I stabbed the English woman, and that's a very fact that proves I'm innocent. Because why would I have bothered to stab the woman if I had already poisoned her? When I heard the student girl and a pompous English murderer arguing, it got my goat. If the courts weren't going to punish Brett for what she did, someone else would have to see justice done. Oh? So, you admitted then? That everything happened as I described? That you are the one who stabbed Miss Brett in the back through the read screen? You can blame this miserable country of ours. A country that boasts to the pressure of foreign powers and lets murderers walk free. What kind of future can a country like that have? That's why I did it. I did what our pathetic leaders didn't have the guts to do. Slap bang in the middle of that charming lady's back, I plunged the blade of sweet justice right in there. Ooh. As someone who spends his life seeing that the truth is told, I feel really awful about giving false information in my testimony before. You were under oath! But as it turns out, there was somebody else who had it in for the victim and got to her before me. That's right, you guessed it. That pretty little student girl. Now there's a woman after my own heart. You're implicating Ray again. She's the one who gave the poison to the English woman and ended her pitiful existence. And suddenly, snap! This Jonah here is off the hook. The argument is sound, certainly. If the witness had administered the poison himself, he need only have waited for it to take effect. Subsequently stabbing the victim in the back would have been entirely nonsensical. And therefore, this report had nothing to do with the poisoning. Yes, it's all quite logical. That's right, it is. Logical and true. I'm glad you've all seen the light. Justice at last. No, not yet. This is unbelievable. And after I'd made so much progress in proving his guilt, is he going to get away with it now? No, he's not. Let's quiz him. Think of Kazuma-sama Naruhodo-san. You never stop looking for a way forward until the judge's final gavel. Very well then, counsel. Proceed with what I assume to be your final cross-examination in this trial. Yes, Your Excellency. I will do exactly that. Okay. You stabbed her, blah, blah, blah. Okay, when I heard the student go pompous English murder arguing, it got my goat. Tell me more about that. What exactly were they arguing about? About what happened in a restaurant 9 months ago, that's what. The student girl was laying into the English woman for killing her beloved mentor, Dr. Wilson. Yes, John H. Wilson, a professor of medicine, invited here from England by Professor Mikotoba, no less. Right, but the English woman just jeered. Her case was to be heard by the British Consular Court in Shanghai, however, there's little doubt that she would simply have been acquitted and sent back to her homeland a free woman. It was eating that student girl up inside, you could see it. I really felt for her. Wait, who just said hold it? So sick. Oh, Ray! I can't stand here and listen to this tripe. Ray. Young girl, you stand accused here. You can't just blurt out whenever you feel like it. No, you can't. Sorry, but I'm in the middle of some very important testimony here. Just keep quiet and listen. But this awful man is making all of this up. Sister, please, you have to make them listen. Return to the dock at once, Membami-san. We're in the middle of a cross-examination. Your Excellency, please, I implore you. The journalist is clearly not a trustworthy witness. Exactly. He's a filthy, rotten, black-hearted, bigoted, dirty, great, peeping Tom! Whoa, take it easy there. Please, I really think the court should hear what the defendant has to say. Good thing no one questioned why she calls you Taru Susato. Yeah, it's like, they already, you know, pushed her to the bottom of their thoughts. It's like, okay, she's the defendant, she's the accused. Whatever she's saying, we don't care. Your Excellency, I see no need whatsoever to entertain the accuser remarks. I will grant the request of the defense. Oh! But Your Excellency! This is likely to be the final cross-examination of these proceedings. As such, I believe it would be ill-advised to stifle the defendant's obvious concerns. So, whilst recognizing that this contravenes regular protocol, I hereby call upon the defendant to speak. Oh! Thank you so much, Your Excellency. Oh! I like the judge. It was nothing to do with Dr. Wilson. We were discussing the stolen poison. Tell me more about that. The stolen poisoner killed the victim, you mean? I suspected her of being the one to steal it. I mean, just think about how she killed Dr. Wilson. That's true. Additionally, Miss Brett certainly had knowledge of the new poison. But surely it would be no easy task to steal a highly secret toxin being developed for the government. Indeed, all visitors to the laboratory are thoroughly searched when they leave. Even if a thief managed to avoid being seen by myself or a colleague, getting the poison out would be very difficult. Thank you so much for the hire time. That's true. I passed up Professor Mikotoba until he agreed to show me the poison when I visited his laboratory. But as I left, I was searched from top to tail. Thank you for the posture check. Ouch. Miss Pratt rather bluntly revealed the existence of the toxin we'd been developing, you see. And since Sasaki-san expressed such an interest in it, I felt unable to refuse. Obviously, I give nothing away other than the fact that it was an extremely potent substance. I'm very ashamed of myself. It's just that I've had a singularly terrible experience with the deadly poison. I wanted to look my old enemy in the eye. Surely you can understand that. To find out if my suspicions were true, I confronted Miss Brett about the poison. I told her that if there were to be an incident involving it somehow, it wouldn't just be the university. The military would be dragged into it. The whole government, even. It would be a complete disaster. And how did Miss Brett respond to your concerns? She just curled those beautiful lips of hers and said she didn't know the first thing about it. In English, actually. Ah yes, Manimano-san, one small question if you don't mind. I do mind. Can you see I'm busy? Clearly you were outside the beach hut listening in whilst the defendant and Miss Brett were conversing. Presumably then, it was you who wrote this article about what you'd heard? Exclusive! Deadly poison stolen from UA Medical Research Laboratory. The story is published in this morning's edition of Shoujo News. The details are too accurate for it to have been written by anyone else. Sorry, don't know what you're talking about. Yes, look at this. The entire article. It's almost what I said to Miss Brett, word for word. Ah. Well, Manimamo-san. As a journal, and as a citizen of a free country, I don't have to review my sources. That's a founding principle of Manimamoism. Father's clearly right about this. That reporter did write that article, and he based it on what he overheard from outside the hut. The details of the poison have been based on information he gleaned by eavesdropping. So that's what it was all about. You were trying to cover up the fact that you were listening in. That's why you came up with that stinking story about me arguing with her. Shut up! My stories never stink. Look, whatever you say, little girl, it doesn't alter the facts. Your Excellency, there's something I want to say, and I want it to go on record. Very well, you may amend your formal testimony. Okay, heavy breathing, heavy breathing. Go off. The point is, if you'd poison someone, there'd be no reason to then go and stab the person as well. No? Are you sure about that? Well, I can think of one reason. What? But before I explain, I'd like you to confirm something for the court. Did you glean all the information for this newspaper article from what you overheard outside the hut? Of course you did. There can be no question of that. After all, when we were all in the laboratory together, all we were told is that it was a terrible toxin. And there's one more important fact to consider. According to the witness, Manbami-san's verbal attack against the victim began as soon as she entered the hut. In other words, it would have been impossible for her to have slipped the poison into Miss Brad's drink. Where are you going with this, counsel? Mama-san has made it quite clear that he observed every single thing that happened in the beach hut. If the defendant had somehow found an opportunity, this man would have seen it. Which means that Miss Brad couldn't have imbibed the poison whilst the defendant was present. In fact, it must have been administered to her before Manbami-san entered the hut. Yes, very articulately put. When I walked into the hut, I immediately started to press Miss Brad about the poison. At which point, Mama-san overheard some worrying information. Worrying information? What worrying information? The information which he subsequently included in his newspaper article, namely, that the poison was being developed in strict secrecy and that it couldn't be readily obtained. Absolutely. In fact, that's quite an understatement. The only possible place it could come from is my lab. And furthermore, anyone afflicted by the poison would exhibit telltale signs in death. The extreme constriction of the pupils. Yes, it's quite stark when you see it. There are the poisons that show similar symptoms, but not among new substances that are undetectable. In other words, it would be clear that the victim's life had been ended by the use of this particular poison, which would reduce the number of suspects to only a handful of people. Everyone in my laboratory is aware of the unique properties of the toxin we've been developing. None of them would be foolish enough to attempt to use it for some nefarious deed. Manbami-san being no exception. Therefore, we can conclude that whoever administered this unique poison to the victim was a layperson unaware of its telltale properties. In other words, someone like you, writes in memo. I'm going to getcha. It was you who stole the poison from the laboratory that day, and it was you who administered it to the unwitting victim. But you quickly realized that was a terrible mistake, because the poison caused such unusual symptoms and was so traceable. Now he's going to go like, okay, but prove it. Prove how I stole it. As you listened in from the far side of the beach hut's thin walls, you learned of these facts. But you'd already given the victim the poison at that point, it was too late. So you hatched a plan to disguise your mistake. A plan that involved stabbing the victim in the back through the reed string. But what good could that possibly do? Isn't it obvious, counsel? The plan was to kill Miss Brad before the poison could take effect. Once in the blood, the poison causes the onset of pupil constriction. But he had hoped to precipitate the victim's death before that happened, hadn't he? Exactly. Because without any revealing signs of the new secret poison's use, no one would ever have suspected. This is extraordinary. Yes, the effects of the poison meant it would be too easily identified, so the killer had to mask its use, which he attempted to do by plunging a knife into the middle of the victim's back. Order! The argument presented is sound. The court is satisfied that it warrants consideration. Does the prosecution have a counter-argument it wishes to put forward? Well, there are a number of... yes! I counter completely! The prosecution's evasive response clearly shows that in much the same way as he nurtures the remnants of his top knot, he's clinging to lost hope. Oh! Ooh, yikes! That's harsh. Yeah, he's going to counter that. He wants evidence, though. Like, how would he have... I can show you how. Hey, yo! You pathetic, useless fallen samurai. Fallen? Who are you calling fallen? My burgeoning growth is on the rise. I don't need a counter-argument. What? What are you talking about? It should be blatantly obvious. I stole the poison, you say. Gave it to the victim, you say. Stabbed her, you say. Lots of fine theories. But I don't need a counter-argument because you don't have an argument yourself. Where's your evidence? Yes, you make it all sound so plausible, don't you? But without evidence, it means nothing. Whereas I base my news on facts. Facts? What do you mean? Explain yourself. I mean what the professor said earlier in this trial. It's all here, in my many memos, every word, every slip of the tongue, all noted. That's what the shoujo news is famous for. It's the power of the printed word. But surely it would be no easy task to steal a highly secret toxin being developed for the government. Indeed, all visitors to the laboratory are thoroughly searched when they leave. Yeah, but I don't think someone's pen would be searched, do you? Even if the thief managed to avoid being seen by myself or a colleague, getting the poison out will be very difficult. How's that then? Blown the story wide open. See, I write many memo, a mere reporter from the shoujo news. Couldn't possibly have stolen that poison from the professor's laboratory. I don't agree. But there can't be any question of it. He must have stolen the poison that day. He stole it and used it to kill. And if that's the case, as you've identified, the poison itself is the definite evidence we need. Because whoever stole it from the laboratory that day is the true culprit here. What's your point, you annoyingly handsome country bumpkin? What? My point is this. There's one way that you, Many-Mama-san, could have stolen the poison that day. I've heard enough verbal conjecture now, thank you. What the court must be shown is evidence. What proof do you have that this witness stole the poison on the day in question? The pen. The proof, Your Excellency, is this fountain pen. A fountain pen? How can that possibly be relevant? These magical pens somehow seem to have enough ink to write many thousands of kanji characters. I believe they arrived in our country for the first time some 15 years ago now. Bah! It's a very weasel hair calligraphy brush and nothing else. These newfangled pens are merely a fad. Ah! Sure they are. Well, as a forward-thinking man of words, obviously I love my fountain pen. Stuck up a what? Of sumptuous ink, and the one's work is awash with words in the blink of an eye. That's right. Fountain pens have a small reservoir in the barrel, into which ink is sucked up through the nib of the pen in order to write with later. It's a cool history lesson, yeah. What does all this talking of sucking up ink help? And just as it's possible to suck ink up into the reservoir, it's also possible to eject it through the nib again, of course. My word, can this really be? Well, Many-Memo-san. When you saw the deadly poison before your eyes in the laboratory that day, you used your fountain pen, your very lifeblood, to steal some of it, didn't you? By siphoning the poison up through the nib and into the pen's reservoir. More absurdity? That never happened. True, we thought that there were procedures in place to prevent thefts like this from the laboratory. But would anyone have thought to look inside a fountain pen of all places? No, I'm a little ashamed to say that for fear of offending our guests, such a detailed search would not have been conducted. Well, this is quite startling, I must say. I remind the court that this pen was found in the clutches of the victim when she died. In other words, it was dropped at the scene by Many-Mamo-san. So the crucial question is, when exactly was the pen dropped? Are you suggesting? The natural conclusion is that in your haste to act whilst the victim was distracted for a moment, you dropped the pen after you emptied the poison from it into a glass. There could be any number of alternative explanations. For example, the witness could have been using this pen to write down details of this conversation with the victim. And when shocked by one of her outrageous answers, the pen fell from his quivering hand. No, that can't be. If it was, how do you explain why the pen was devoid of ink? What? As you can see for yourself, if you examine the evidence, there would appear to be no ink present in the reservoir. But newspaper reporter goes to interview someone with nothing in his pen. No, the pen was dropped after the poison that filled its reservoir had been emptied into the victim's glass. Witness, what do you have to say in your defense? So this is how a modern justice system works, is it? It's getting old. So what if the ink in my pen runs dry? So what if my pencil snaps? I can always claw my way back into the game. I have plenty in reserve. Bruh. You claim I sucked the poison up into my pen. That's wild speculation, nothing more. If you thought you could bring down a fine, upstanding citizen with a trick like that, think again. It looks as though it's going to take one final decisive blow to finish this matter. As I see it, the situation is now very simple. It rests upon whether or not this witness did indeed steal the poison on the day in question. And therefore, it all depends upon whether or not the defense can prove that he did with evidence. Ha! No such evidence could possibly exist. Memo-san, this is how a modern justice system works. What? In the courtroom, evidence is everything. Something you would do well to remember. Because we are well past the point of speculation at this stage, I assure you. Very well then, I call upon the defense to present the aforementioned evidence. This is it then. This will be the final piece in the puzzle. Let's fucking go! The defense can prove, by means of this item, that it was the witness's pen that was used to steal the poison. Heck yeah, oops. Counsel, what is that bottle? This bottle contains a unique chemical region that can identify the poison in question. Yes, the poison is an entirely new synthesis of alkaloids developed by my colleagues and I. It would be impossible to detect traces of it by any other method. Or, from another perspective, simply with this chemical region, anybody at all could check for traces of the poison. A region? What? One drop of the content of this bottle on the tip of your fountain pen, Memo-san, is all it will take to solve the case beyond all reasonable doubt. No, you can't. I won't. Your crimes are bad enough, but at least know when to admit defeat. Your Excellency, the defense requests permission to carry out a test on the fountain pen at once. Hey yo! This isn't my fault. The Empire drove me to this. Trying to hold its head high as a civilized nation by bowing its head to every point. I look up onto the... Oh! With me. I'm there. What? What? Did I do it right? That was a suicidal takedown, wasn't it? Not quite. That was a Ryotaro takedown. I love them! The instant the first drop of the region touched the nib of the fountain pen, it was clear to everyone present. When I saw it then, the lab, the poison, the devil got hold of me and I decided to do it on a whim. I excused myself and emptied all the ink down the sink in the bathroom, washing the reservoir out carefully. And then you waited for an opportunity to suck up some of the poison, didn't you? Into your fountain pen? Yes, that's right. Answer me one thing, Memo-san. Why did you steal it? For what purpose? Isn't it obvious? To find out what it was made of and expose it in an article. I mean, it was a secret project after all, too juicy for a journal like me to pass up. Then why did the English woman end up dead? Did you find out? I went into that hut intending to quiz her on the situation, that's all, as a reporter. A known killer enjoying full freedom, evading justice by leaving the country. I told her what I thought about it. And she just laughed in my face. What's this? A Far Eastern caveman purporting to practice journalism. Ah, yes, there it is. We've been going for almost 3 hours into the game. Finally, the racism. There it is. Really, you must learn the difference between reporting and listening at doorways, you ignorant plebeian. What did you call me? This country with its pretensions to a justice system, to a free press, is really very depressing. You see your superiors' ways in the West, yet you lack the mental capacity to emulate them. Get out of here, you oaf. Get out and crawl back into the cave you came from. That's when I remembered about the deadly poison I happened to have in my pen at the time. What a terrible tale. In my head, I knew I should just get out of there as quickly as possible, but I couldn't. I couldn't let her get away with what she'd done, when she clearly had no remorse at all. I mean, I'm not sad that she's dead. I suppose it was my journal spirit, getting all fired up. She's a horrible woman. I'd like to ask you something. Yes. You often talk about justice. But surely as a journalist, you could have used other means to deliver the justice you sought. There's no justice in the press. Sorry? After that trial 9 months ago, I kept digging and digging to find out what had happened in our courtroom. And finally, I discovered the truth. It was a cover-up, that's what it was. A cover-up? What do you mean? I would remind you of your position, witness. Be careful of what you say. Oh, come on, doesn't it strike you as strange? We're suddenly not allowed to convict a foreign national? Consular jurisdiction should never have come into it. And yet that puffed-up Englishwoman was going to sail away into the sunset a free woman. The only possible explanation is that behind the scenes, some deal had gone down between Britain and Japan. What sort of deal? I'd done my research, dug up all the dirt, it was all ready to be published. But you know what happened? The editor just tore the article. He came under pressure from the government, you mean? If our government is going to let criminals walk free, if they're going to crush the free press, then what choice do I have but to see that justice is done myself? Let's not forget, Memo-san, that you committed murder yourself and you tried to lay the blame at the defendant's door. I'm sorry, but you're not better than Josiah Brett. What? The truth is, you have no right to talk about justice at all. I suppose. Oh. It would appear that we have reached a conclusion in this trial at least. At last. Counsel for the defense, Ryotaro Naruhodo. Oh. Yes. Sorry, Your Excellency. Just musing in a manly way here. It's almost unbelievable that this is your first experience of the Supreme Court. It was an excellent performance. In truth, it very much reminded me of your cousin's exploits. Oh, Naruhodo... Hirosuke, you mean? The way he handled the trial 9 months ago and the way you handled this one. It gives me hope that we are generally entering a new era of justice in this land. Oh! That's very flattering, Your Excellency. It is. It really is. Hearing the defense you put forward today made me feel most keenly that the future of our justice system will be forged by you and your contemporaries. I think you can sympathize with him for not wanting Giselle to just get away with everything, but blaming Ray was too far. Yeah, exactly. It's like, I get it. I get it that he wanted to see Brett, get the justice she deserves. But killing her and then trying to blame it on someone else, that's not helping anyone. Thank you. So, Prosecutor Aochi, do you have any final thoughts? What the fuck is that? Prosecutor Aochi? I, Taketsuchi of the Aochi clan, have been bested by a callow youth not once now, but twice. If there was any shred of my former self left, it has withered and died here today. Gosh, your journey to cultural enlightenment sure took a while, didn't it? Silence! Rather than living on in shame. I will end it all now with this blade. For that is the true path to Aochiism. Aochiism? One hopes that's the only way in which he'll be modeling himself after the witness. Are you going to cut your hair? Sprig of my top knot. The time is right for farewell. Hope is lost forever. Taketsuchi. You don't have to cut it! Hope is lost forever. Excuse me. Now, in regard to the defendant, Rei Membami-san. Yes, Your Excellency. I have reached my final verdict. I hereby find you... hot!
Milky! Woo! Yay! Woo, 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 woo.
Court is adjourned. Boosh!
We did it! Woo! We did it!
13th of August, 2:38 p.m. Supreme Court of Judicature, Defendants, Antechamber 3. It's over. My heart is still pounding in my chest, though. It's all I can do just to stay standing. Press F for Aochi's hopes it raims F. Lawyers have such great responsibility, such a great burden to bear. Blah. Don't they, Naruhodo-san? Susato! Thank you so much. You were so dashing in there. Nay, and father. Honestly, I'm so touched by everything you... Oh no, I think I'm going to cry. It wasn't easy, but together we made it. I was on the verge of tears at the end too. The only reason I'm still here is because of you. Oh, I love her! Ah. She's so cute! Oh no, I can take all the credit. It took courage to tell the truth in there. Also, we were lucky that the judge allowed you to speak. You did wonderfully, Ray, so I would have to say that the congratulations belong to you. Gay, homosexual, gay. Sometimes I can still hear a voice. Susato, don't be so standoffish. Sorry? We're friends, equals, and the trial's over, so no more of this formal super humility nonsense. It's time to celebrate with swagger, to throw caution to the wind. Caution to the... what? I'm the great defense lawyer Ryutaro Nanhodo, and I'm taking you out to a milk bar tomorrow. Or something. Right, I see. Oh, think about it, Ray. At any rate, we really knocked the wind out of that horrid man and it felt so good. Yes, it was satisfying. It really was. Isn't there anybody else we could throw together? I hope you're not looking at me, Ray. Oh my goodness! No, of course not, of course not! Huh, there it is at last. Ray's lovely smile.
Gay, gay, homosexual, gay.
You fought for your friend to the very last. As your father, I'm extremely proud of you. Defense Attorney Ryotaro Naruhodo. Thank you, but I couldn't have done it without your help. Anyway, it's time to bid farewell to Ryotaro, I think. I shall miss him in a way, but it's back to Suzuto Mikotoba now. So, I'll never see him again then. What a terrible shame.
What?
Oh, you guys! What is happening? Ah, Soseki-san, Inspector Hosonaga, I do hope you've been keeping well. Is that really you? Yes, I had to change my appearance for, well, obvious reasons, I hope. But it's me. Susato Mikotoba. Don't... So dashing, so divine. No! Doubly dashing. Yes, and devilishly divine, just look at you. I had no idea, Mr. Sato-san Esquire's, that you were a locum student Naruhodo-san Esquire's cousin. Astonishing, astounding, ace attorney!
Ah, name drop!
Poor Soseki-san, so confused. I still remember the first time I ever met him. He was in a prison cell in London. What an extraordinary conundrum it was that the unwitting student from Japan found himself embroiled in. Yeah, he thinks we're cousins now, I guess. But after Naruhodo-san's skillful defense at the Old Bailey, Soseki-san was free to return to Japan. And now he seems to have earned himself great fame as an author. He looks better in Japanese clothes. I'm stunned, that's a truly impressive disguise. Even I had no idea, and I'm a chief inspector of the police bureau who came up with Mr. Turtle, no less. I'm not sure you should be admitting to that, Inspector. Amazing. You're a woman of many faces, I see. Just two, really. And this was a once-in-a-lifetime event, I hope. Oh, I'm not a patch on you now, Inspector. Well, I am a professional, of course. I love him. I do worry about Inspector Hosonaga sometimes, I really do. 9 months ago, when he appeared here at the Supreme Court to testify, he was undercover disguised as the head waiter of a restaurant. And then on the steamship to Great Britain, of course, disguised as a sailor to keep us safe on a journey. Though that didn't help you, did it, Kazuma-sama? From my perspective, I have to admit that I have mixed feelings about all this. I mean, now the truth has been lost forever. What do you mean? I'm talking about the murder that the English woman committed at the end of last year. Yes, it was an English doctor she killed, as I understand it. New career, cross-dressing. Dr. John H. Wilson, yes, the man I invited to Japan personally. The mystery is, why did she kill him? And now that the culprit herself is dead, we'll probably never know the answer. True. On the voyage to Great Britain, we had a most unexpected encounter with Mr. Sherlock Holmes, the great detective, I mean. Yes, I remember Mr. Holmes well, of course. Ah, my arch-nemesis. How lightly you utter his name. Well, according to the stories published about him... Oh, what's going on? According to the stories published about him in the adventures of Sherlock Holmes, the detective once had a partner who helped him solve crimes, a best friend. And that man was an exceptional doctor of medicine by the name of John H. Wilson. What? Dr. Wilson? I just can't believe that it's a coincidence. I think that the English doctor of medicine killed here in Japan 9 months ago must have been the friend and partner of Mr. Holmes. Do you know anything about that? And if that's really true, then the poor girl will never see her beloved father again. You're catching what Hosonaga has? Oh no! Fuck! Well, I'm not spitting blood yet. As you know, I traveled to Great Britain once myself to study. It was around the time you were born. Yes, grandmother told me about it. On returning to Japan, I took up my professorship at the Imperial Yumi University. But I also serve another role as an advisor to the government on diplomatic affairs. Yes, I was aware of that as well. In that case, I'm sure you understand that there are some confidential matters I cannot divulge to you. Are you kidding me? Could you just tell me one thing? Why did you summon me back to Japan? It's been 2 months now since I returned. When I left England, it was because an urgent telegram had arrived from Japan. It said that you collapsed with a high fever and you were growing weaker by the day. What? Where did that news come from? That's what I'd like to know, because after the long sea voyage I found you in fine health, father. He wasn't even sick!
Ooh, I do not trust him.
Was there something in Great Britain that you perceived might inconvenience me in some way or harm me? That's really the only explanation I can think of. Dear me, do you reserve your most cutting glass for your father, Susato? I'm sorry, my dear, I simply can't... Let me go! Oh, you again. Ha, 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 hi. Many Memo-san. So one throw wasn't enough for you? I've got one last thing to say before you take me away. Professor. Me? I know the truth. I know you had a hand in what went on. In a visiting student's fate. Visiting student? Jazar Brad, you mean? No, not her. The student of law who left for Great Britain 8 months ago. What? Student of law? He must mean... Kazuma-sama. What are you talking about? What does any of this have to do with Kazuma-sama? Nobody here in Japan knows anything about it. They don't know that the guy never made it to England, that he died on that steamship, and that he never... What? No, sorry, I'm just like... The news that no one in Japan knows about Kazuma hit me. And then the fucking, I don't know, judge shows up in that pose, just throwing the guy. Like, have we ever seen a judge outside of the courtroom? Also, he looks different now that he's standing. Well, I didn't expect to find him in here. What were your officers playing at? Terribly sorry, Your Excellency. Why does the judge have... Yo! Judge throwing hands, bro. I was coming to tell you that the rickshaw has arrived, Jujin, and it's a good job I came by. Yes, thank you for dealing with him, and I'll be there shortly. Oh, Your Excellency? The trial's over. I'm not Your Excellency anymore. Merely your father's friend, Seishiro Jigoku. And may I say that since I saw you last, you seem to have taken on a more dashing appearance. Susato? Did you know all along? From the start of the trial? A judge sees everything, Susato. I couldn't let you take the risk. If Seishiro he hadn't known and then he'd recognized you, so I had a word in his ear beforehand, as an old friend. I'm sorry, I'm losing, I don't know, I'm losing all my trust in both the father and the judge right now. He's the highest judge here, and he just took a word from a friend to let us... I mean, obviously, I'm glad that we could go and be lawyers and stuff, but like, a judge that just takes a word from a friend to let the daughter show up as pretending to be a lawyer and a guy so she would be allowed in court. You're not very adhering to your laws, are you? Justice look pretty fit. That he does. So say sure, shall we? Yes, having ruled in that case, we now have various diplomatic issues to address. Before you go further, Sorry, my dear, we shall have to return to our earlier conversation at a later date. But well done again, both of you. You did admirably. Oh, thank you very much. What did you think of my Seishiro sling, eh? It's been a while since I sent a man flying like that. Ha 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 ha. Ha ha. Ha. Whatever could father be hiding from me? About Giselle Brad, about Dr. Wilson. And now it seems, according to the reporter, about Kazuma-sama. I'm going to have to bring this up with father sometime. When nobody else is around. Judicial Assistant Mikotoba-san Esquires, could I have a word? Oh, yes, of course, Soseki-san. What is it? I think perhaps it could be fate that we're meeting again like this now. You see, there's something I need to tell you. I was just thinking some of the English guys could also strum some people around, but it would probably be more into boxing. True. True. I think boxing looks really interesting. Like, I don't like to watch it as like a sport, but I just think that the form behind a good punch, if you're really boxing, I think you have a completely different form from someone that hasn't ever thrown a punch. I would be very interested in learning that, I think. And also, I hear it's a great stress reliever. But ouch. I believe that it may be related to the reason why your father summoned you back from England. Oh, this I have to hear. Please, Soseki-san, tell me at once. I will. As you know, my time in England was terrible. Cursed, I have no doubt. Such awful things I was embroiled in. Thank goodness locum student Naruhodo-san Esquire stepped in. After he secured my freedom, I couldn't wait to get on a ship back here to my homeland. Having arrived in Japan, I submitted a report about my experiences to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. The next thing I knew, I had a visitor. It was your father, Professor Mikotoba. He wanted to ask me all sorts of things about my report. My father? He seemed to be especially taken with a particular part of the report. Anyway, he left eventually, having thoroughly quizzed me. But it was the very next day that he sent a telegram to you asking you to return to Japan. What was it then? The particular part my father was interested in. The Reaper, isn't it? I don't really know exactly. But do you remember them? Those two terrible cases I was caught up in? Of course, I could never forget. Your father seemed to concern himself mainly with the second case. The second one? You mean the one Mr. Sholmes forbade any of us to talk about in public? Which is why the only case involving you that any member of the public is aware of is the first. Well, I don't care. I don't have to listen to what a dastardly detective says. Anyway, the point is, it seems that case somehow holds a key to all those curious, unanswered questions. That horrific, hideous, heinous case, the case of the haunted lodgings. Wait, the haunted lodgings? How does that one... What? The case somehow caused my father to summon me urgently back to Japan. I thought our whole business was over, but it seems I was wrong. Perhaps that was only the start. Perhaps the story is not yet told. Wait. He was involved in the case with the woman being stabbed by that knife that flew out the window, and what other case was he involved in?
かの英国留学生の事件は決着がついたのでございます。大死院に立ってほんの少し分かったような気がいたしました。なるほど様が異国の法廷で何に立ち向かっているのかを。
It's funny she says Naruhodo-sama, but our text says son.
今日はもう一つお知らせしたいことがあって筆を取りました。夏目漱石様がおっしゃった二つ目の事件。
She calls everyone Sama,
父
I
は
guess.
何も語りませんが、あの事件にはどうやら大きな謎を解く重要な鍵が眠っているようでございます。あの事件の記録は お部屋の棚の左隅に残しておきました。よろしければ振り返ってみてはいかがでしょうか。日本はいよいよ夏の盛り、今日も抜けるような青空でございます。なるほど様、もう一度お会いしたく存じます。すさっと。
End of the first episode, huh? Okay. Achievement unlocked. Susato success. Yay. The scene looks kind of like point and click games. Drawn scene. Yeah, right? It does. It really does. Episode 2. The Memoirs of the Clouded Kokoro. Oh. Interesting. Interesting. Well, this one went by way faster than the initial first game. That's for sure. This one barely took us 3 hours, which is nice. That means it was a good idea to play this game today. Oh. Well, yay! We did it! First episode. We are back, baby! We are back with Great Ace Attorney. Reading and writing still doesn't work for me. What trick one? Yeah! I know that feel, but it's okay. Alright. I'm going to end the stream here anyway, though. Like, I don't want to get started on another episode because I know we're not going to get through it all today. And then I'm going to take the chance to get some good rest. Maybe even before midnight. And then we're going to be playing more of a disaster report tomorrow. And try to hopefully get through the second day in that game. Or, well, however long it takes, we will see about that. Yeah, that means I'll actually adhere to the schedule for once. Wow! New learning to sleep sooner. Yay! Yay! I've tried, on days where I don't stream, I've tried to actually, you know, go to bed at like 11 p.m. on the dot to just go to sleep. And actually sleep and not just, you know, lay down in bed and be on my phone for another few hours. And I actually wake up more well rested. Who would have thought? But it's always just like, it feels like it's too early to go to sleep at 11. So it's just like, damn, there's so much of the day that I'm missing out on. I don't know why I think like that. What a surprise. I know, right? But yeah. For now, this is where we will cut the game. We will be playing more of it next week for the second episode. I'm guessing the second episode will be way longer, so that one will probably kill my voice once again. Maybe I will find someone until then who would like to read the game with me. But it's like everyone I've asked is always like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm not up to date with the game. I would, or they don't want to get spoiled. It's like, obviously, that's very much fine. I'm just like, please, my poor voice, I can't handle it while reading it on my own. But yeah, that's what we're going to do. So tomorrow, disaster report. For now, end of stream. Let's raid Hina. We haven't raided Hina in a while. Once again, playing the letter. I don't know how much is left. It was a nice stream. I wish you a good night. You too. I wish
wish you all a very good night.
Thank you so much for coming as always. I think I should probably make a rate message version with emotes sometimes. Maybe I should. I'll write that down. I will do that soon. Thank you so much for the pet.
I wish you all a very good night.
Thank you so much for coming as always.
Good night. Bye bye.